And a pleasant good afternoon, everyone. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I am not Brian Wilson. My name is Matt Murphy, normally heard from noon until 3, and was heard from noon until 3 on occasion as Cameron Smith filled in for me, and I fill in for Brian on The Drive on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's my experience 548 with all of you on these airwaves, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for your time today, your consideration. It's a Monday, April 8, 2024. You probably knew that by now. We just had an eclipse. A few, yeah. Let's just spend a moment remembering what was and what is still to be on the 2024 Eclipse-mageddon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So I hesitate to go as curmudgeonly as I possibly can. By the way, Mac Morey's back in the newsroom gathering headlines. There's Chris Weber. He's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as possible. Hello, gentlemen, and a good afternoon to both of you.
And good afternoon to you.
Hello.
I hesitate to go 100% curmudgeon on this because I know how much Brian Wilson loves it, and it's his show. Do you understand my dilemma?
It's a pickle.
But we're going to give Brian an opportunity as he travels back. Where was he? Do you know?
I think originally he was going to stop in somewhere
Kentucky?
in Kentucky, but I think he ventured over into Illinois, if I'm not mistaken.
So Brian took the day off. Brian's into this kind of thing.
Yes.
And Wilson took the day off so that he could reach the path of totality or the arc of totality and check it off his check it out. I mean, I guess it's a box checker for him, I suppose, that he gets to check the box. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe he's experienced some of these. There's some guy that was 105 out of Texas that had experienced 13 of them, I think.
Whoa.
Really?
I mean, this guy, he's a trooper. I don't think he's making another one. I don't think he's going to make the one 20 years from now in North America.
He must not have had a lot going on in his life.
I saw a report about him, 105 years old, lives in Texas, and I think this was on ABC News, where he got pulled into it in the late 60s. He experienced one in the late 60s. He was absolutely hooked, and every single one that's happened since the late 1960s to today, he's been to. I mean, I'm talking worldwide. Mexico.
So he ventures to find them.
Oh, yeah. He goes to where he doesn't wait for them to come to him. Come on.
Wow. Well, because I know most of them, they happen every other year or whatever, but they're in the middle of the nowhere ocean, so no one can go see it.
Is it every other year? Is that?
It's like every 2 or 3 years we have a total solar eclipse. It's just we can never see it.
You know, based on what I saw from the roof of Cumulus Nashville today, we can just say that there was one Just find a really cloudy day. Ooh, there's an eclipse.
Guys, come on, eclipse.
Come on, guys. It's so much fun.
Did you see it? No, you didn't.
I was proud of Weber. He braved the stairs and got on the roof. I didn't see you, Maury.
Yeah, sorry.
I climbed that ladder for, I was up there for, 30, 35 seconds?
I don't know this is all you said. But all I remember you saying is this is it. Yep. And so you had your glasses in your hand and you were looking up at the clouds.
Those lovely gray clouds.
Look, here's what we're going to do, though, folks. We're not talking about the eclipse for the full 4 hours. Far from it. We've got Tim Burchett on at 3:35. And he'll give his take on the eclipse and maybe aliens. And other than that, we'll talk some D.C. politics. But I want your reaction to it. What did you see? What didn't you see? Where did you go? Where did you not go? You know, how disappointed. Here's our big-time 2024 reaction show spectacular on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Here's how it works. How disappointing was it? How much cloud cover blocked your ability to see the total eclipse or the almost total eclipse of the sun? Was it a matter of cloud cover? Was it a matter of duration? I mean, for some, it's just a matter of the time spent building up to it versus the amount of time that you actually get to experience it. Is it government mind control? Are you pro-sun or pro-moon or a little bit both? See, I slipped in the government mind control there.
Do you feel differently after the eclipse happened?
I mean, we have a celebration. We've lined up. We've got astronomers and astrologers and flat earthers and astronauts and astrophysicists and anybody that you can possibly imagine.
Really?
Will be on this show.
Got all of that.
As long as they call in at 866-737-9986. So if your job description begins with astro anything, give us a call today. I'd love to talk with you about your reaction to the solar eclipse.
Watch some guy who's an AstroTurf technologist will call in.
I'm hoping. I mean, here's the deal. I remember being a little bit underwhelmed in 2017. I don't know how you guys felt about it in Nashville. Y'all were totality in 2017,
we were
right?
pretty close to, I think, to totality.
I was in Birmingham, and we were what Nashville was today then. We were like 95% or something like that. And I remember standing in the parking lot, and I remember waiting and it getting kind of dark, like there was a lot of cloud cover, and looking up at the sun with your appropriate Eclipse glasses sold for $2.99 at your local convenience store. I mean, those folks. You want to talk? You know what? This is actually a good time. If you're watching on Super Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, I've got some for sale.
Stock up for next time.
I mean, I've got 3 sets of solar eclipse glasses for you for sale right now, cheap. Just name your price.
Those look like they've never been used.
They've never been worn. They've been They've been bent a little bit, but they're suitable for wearing. You can
stock up now.
I mean, I think
beat the rush.
20 years will be here before you know it. Yeah. Now, I'm a little bit surprised that you managed this. Chris Weber shows me his Eclipse glasses, and look at there. Right there on the old Super Talk TV.
You see that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Those are vintage.
These are, let's see. Can I get close enough?
Uh-huh.
The light's not going to let you see it.
Well, those are retro, baby.
Yeah, but anyway, it's got the date on it. These are August 21st, 2017. These are from last time. I still had them. I don't know why. I had them. I just stuck them in the drawer, where I just put junk, I guess, and I just happened to find them.
Well, that's pretty good because you showed me these glasses, and I distinctly remember. I mean, it took me back in time 7 years ago. When I'm not kidding. I just spent, I was given a pair of Eclipse glasses, and then I bought a pair of, so I haven't spent that much money. But I distinctly remember after the thing was over, walking back to the office, disappointed, relatively speaking, and thinking as I threw them in the trash, well, when the hell am I going to need these things again?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out now, today, is when I need.
Could have saved yourself
$2.99.
$2.99.
I think that's what they were. $2.99. But right now, what do you think? What do you think these are worth now?
Not worth the cardboard they're printed on.
You see, kids, supply and demand, free market economics dictates that these glasses were worth something about 4 hours ago. As I heard individuals on this radio station lamenting the fact that they had waited so long to, in fact, purchase said solar eclipse glasses, and they were concerned about where they might get them. Now, these glasses, post-2024 eclipse, are worth exactly nothing. Well, maybe something. Somebody might pay me $0.25 or something for them. I don't know why you would do that. Maybe to give them to the kids. But other than that, they're worth nothing because, there you go, supply and demand. Look, I'm not knocking it. Every major network was on it. Sadly, human beings, I say sadly, maybe not so sadly, maybe this is just the way that it goes. For the arc of human existence, as long as we have understood it and recorded it down, we've looked up at the heavens. We've looked at the stars. We've looked at the moon. And obviously, we've done as much study as we possibly can without destroying our eyeballs by looking at the sun. These are events that don't come around very often, and so no doubt they're going to get a little bit of attention. That is perfectly normal. Although I would suggest that it was slightly underwhelming, especially in Nashville, considering the amount of cloud cover. There was a lot of free stuff that was being given away today. I'm assuming. Yeah, I had a list. Someone sent me a list.
I totally missed that.
Yeah, what?
Oh, what? Come on, guys. You got to get in on the free stuff. Hold on. Let me see. I have a list. Where's my list?
I know Sonic has Eclipse slushies, but
yeah, there were Eclipse slushies. Let's see. Solar Eclipse 2024 deals and freebies that cannot be overshadowed. See what they did there? Solar Eclipse taking place April 8th. Going to be exciting. Lie. Blackout. All right. So let's see. Monday, April 8th, Dippin' Dots is offering a 25% discount for online orders.
Ooh. Pass.
They don't really give a pass. I'm passing on that, too. Coffee
Dippin'
and
Dots?
yeah, what?
I don't like Dippin' Dots.
I love
Dippin'
Dippin'
Dots.
What's wrong with regular ice cream?
Yeah. Can I just get a scoop of
No.
butter pecan,
No,
please?
give me
Thanks.
multiple little
I mean, what-
jumbled up balls of my flavors.
What do you
please.
think? What do you think? What are those? What are they? Do you know?
No, I love them though.
Mm-hmm.
They're dots that are dipped.
What's inside of them? Communism.
Sugary goodness.
The coffee and donut chain Dunkin' Donuts is offering several opportunities to get in on the action today. I don't know exactly what they're. This is awful. They're offering 100 bonus points for their online. Oh, stop it! Just give me a dadgum cup of coffee. Insomnia Cookies, a limited edition moon cookie cake. Insomnia Cookies bringing back its moon cookie cake, available for a limited time through April 8th. I'm assuming that you can still get it. I mean, they might shut it down. They might have looked up at the sky and went, well, to hell with all of this.
All right, you started this by saying freebies, and I haven't not heard of anything that's free yet, Murphy.
Okay, I'm working on it.
I don't want to have to pay for this stuff. Come on.
Krispy Kreme, the donut chain, announced a new total solar eclipse donut in honor of the big event, described as an original glazed donut dipped in black chocolate icing with silver sprinkles. Okay, it's not free. Okay, look. All right. This is why you don't trust the mainstream news or me. Moon pie. Here we go. Moon Pie is celebrating the day with a limited edition Eclipse carton of chocolate mini treats. It's being offered at stores nationwide and online. Not free.
Not free.
Not
Yeah.
free. Sonic is debuting a blackout slush float, as mentioned by Mr. Morey. Celebration of the total eclipse. I think they're charging for that.
You get a free pair of glasses if you bought one.
Sun chips.
Well, those are important.
This is actually a pretty good tie-in. You know, Sun Chips, who doesn't like Sun Chips? The Harvest Fresh. You don't like Sun Chips?
They're
Give
all
it-
right,
give it a
I guess.
look.
No, I like Sun Chips.
Is Sun Chips? Sun Chips?
The bag's way too loud, but I like Sun Chips.
Well,
It
they're
is a
kind-
very crispy bag.
Yeah.
Yeah,
isn't
they're,
it?
they're very crispy. I feel like I'm eating healthy, and I know that that's not true.
Oh,
Deep
yeah.
down,
No way.
They
you
got
know that it's not true,
Yeah.
but they got me.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they tricked
I was like, well, this is obviously better than potato chips, and meanwhile, it's just potato chips.
Lay's is like, come on, they're the same.
Don't you see? We put the word grain on there.
They're Doritos less orange. That's all they are. That's right. It's just Harvest grain right here on the bag. It's got to be good. Sun Chips, let's see. This is it. For less than 5 minutes, a few lucky Sun Chip fans will be able to get limited edition solar eclipse-inspired chips for free. We missed it. The brand, produced by Frito-Lay, by the way. So, yeah.
There you go.
Partnered with astronaut and researcher Kelly Girardi to launch the new Solar Eclipse limited edition pineapple, habanero, and black bean spicy Gouda flavor.
Wow, no wonder they're limited edition.
That is a lot going on in one little bitty chip. The limited edition. You know, I had someone ask, this is odd. The same person that sent me this list asked me if I wanted Sun Chips, and I didn't read the whole list, and so I didn't understand why she was asking me about This is why I should not pay attention to listeners. Limited edition snack goes live at 1:33 p.m. Central Time, April 8th. That was about an hour and a half ago, the moment of the eclipse hitting North America. Fans will only have 4 minutes and 27 seconds to get their hands on some, so I wish you well if you endeavor to get yourself some Sun Chips.
So instead of watching the eclipse, they want you to get free Sun Chips.
Apparently so.
Okay. Interesting.
This flavor, it sounds like they were doing something in the test marketing or research department, and then they realized it was a total and abject failure.
Sounds like they were wearing the eclipse glasses while in the laboratory mixing ingredients, going, yeah, whatever this is, this sounds good.
It tastes pretty good, right?
Just dump some in there.
Okay, so that's fake news. There's nothing free here, Chris. Nothing free.
Well, I haven't lost out on anything.
Well,
then.
there you have it. Hope your clips went well. We've got lots to get into today. To include, obviously, we're going to talk about Donald Trump and his statement on abortion and where he is on it as a presidential candidate. We'll push back a little bit on the Guardian's treatment of the state of Tennessee, and more particularly Middle Tennessee, when it comes to the Covenant School and the anniversary of that shooting there over at Covenant School. Andy Ogles has a contender, has a challenger for the 5th Congressional District. We'll talk about that today. I mentioned we'll talk to Tim Burchett, but immediately following this brief timeout, we will have a visit with the one and only Brian Wilson. The host of these proceedings, normally from 3 until 7, will join us on the road as he's heading back from Totality. That's next on Super Talk.
An update in the Israel-Hamas war, a fatal crash right here in Tennessee, and taking a look at people around the United States and how they experienced the total eclipse of the sun. All at 3:30, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
So disappointed in you. I'm disappointed.
I let you down?
You did. You let me down. I thought you were going to get through the tease without mentioning the eclipse.
Oh. Come on, it wouldn't be a tease without the eclipse.
That's true. So Matt Murphy's in for the big man, Brian Wilson. Chris Webber behind the glass. Mac Morey's back in the newsroom. But looky who is here. It's the man himself. Brian Wilson joins his own radio show. Hello, Brian Wilson. How are you?
Hey, Matt. What a day. What a day. What a day.
All right, so you probably had the better side of this because from the picture that you sent me, it looked like you had smooth sailing with regard to cloud cover. Just give us the lay of the land, what you did, where you went, what you saw. Just give it all to us, Brian.
Well, I was headed for Henderson, Kentucky, but I got there relatively easily, and there was no traffic. And I decided, you know what? If I push a little deeper into the cone or the pathway of totality, instead of getting 2 minutes, I can get 4 minutes of totality. I thought, that's another 50 miles. I'll just do it. So I drove to Vincennes, Indiana, and spent 4 hours for 4 minutes of totality, but it was worth it. It was beautiful, almost perfect conditions. We had some very high, thin, wispy clouds, but at the appointed time, it got dark. And it was really remarkable because, when you get into totality, you take off the glasses and you can look right up into that perfect ring of fire, and it's really so amazing. I sort of have been struck as I've been sitting here in the car driving back about how amazing it really is when you think about it. The moon is 400 times closer to the Earth than the sun, and the sun is 400 times larger than the moon, and all of these things align perfectly so that we have these cosmic events where the sun, the moon, and the earth are all in perfect alignment. And when you think about that, it just sort of, to me, I go, wow, God is in his heaven, and there is order to the universe. And it really, I think, when you think about it even in larger terms, I start thinking about what an insignificant speck we are. Our solar system is part of the Milky Way, and the Milky Way is but a grain of sand in the universe. And it just sort of puts you in your place and your perspective. And I think it's sort of I think there's a grand design to all that, and it sort of inspires me. I think, and I was really inspired until I got back to Henderson, Kentucky, where I have hit the wall in traffic. Let me tell you, it is wall to wall, bumper to bumper for miles.
Well, we talked about doing. Having another brief conversation with you in the 5 o'clock hour, and I anticipate maybe your feelings about the whole thing may change if you're still stuck in traffic 2 hours from now, Brian.
Well, Waze says I'll be home about 6:11, but I'm having a feeling that Waze hasn't completely figured in the nature of this traffic. I honestly had no trouble getting to where I was going. It was not really heavy traffic, but apparently a lot of people rushed in at the last moment to get, just across the line into the path of totality. And they're all trying to go home in exactly the same moment.
Do you take photographs? Do you just simply commune with the moment, or are you one of those that you want to remember the moment with photography?
No. I wanted to share with my wife, who could not make the trip today. She had some other obligations she needed to fulfill, and so she couldn't make the trip. And I wanted to catch the moment when it gets dark. So I set my video camera on my phone, but the problem is your video camera is smarter than you think it is. And as it gets darker, the iris automatically opens up, and it doesn't look that dark on the video.
Right.
But to the naked eye, it gets really dark, and you can see sunlight off in the horizon, but it's really, really quite dark. So at that moment, I just turned it off and tried to focus for 4 minutes on this amazing cosmic display that we had today.
I get the feeling, based on the nature of the conversation, this is not your first eclipse.
This is my second. Well, I think I was in one when I was a kid, but I didn't really appreciate what it was. And I don't think I was in a total eclipse then. But I remember, getting the box out and trying to see the shape of the sun being eaten up by the moon. But in 2017, I did drive up from Florida to Middle Tennessee, even though I didn't live here at the time, to witness that one. And that one was really quite good. I think this one for me was better because the time of darkness was a little longer. And so you had, you just had more time to enjoy the moment.
Well, let me tell you something. It's a tale. You did the right thing. Because if you had accepted whatever they told us it was going to be in Nashville, 94 or 95% totality or whatever, you would have been sorely disappointed. It was a a bit of a bust over here, but I'm glad that you got to experience it in the way that you did. The cloud covers simply made it next to impossible.
I did talk to Cabana wife, and she said that the bulldog was on high alert and acting very strange during the whole thing. Just like as it started to happen, the bulldog just jumped up and ran outside and just sort of was on high alert. And then after a few moments, she came back in. But then they went out, and she said just the dog was unsettled. I thought it was very interesting to hear her talk about how the animals reacted to all this.
It's my understanding all of the sheep are walking in circles as we speak. But enough about the Democrats. Well, Brian, we'll check back in with you, and I hope your travels get a little bit better. I'm glad that you got to experience it. I love it. I absolutely love it. And we'll maybe talk again in the 5 o'clock hour, my friend.
All right, I'm here at your disposal.
All right, there's Brian Wilson on his own radio show, traveling back from Indiana, where he experienced the total 4 minutes of totality. And obviously, Brian is all into it, and good for him for going there because he would not have seen anything here. It's 3:32 news time on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.32, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Right now, 72 degrees and still mostly cloudy here in Nashville. Starting to see that sun poke out a little bit, a couple hours too late for those eclipse viewers. Weather forecast and a traffic report coming up in 5 minutes. Israeli leaders say the plan is set for military operations in the southern Gaza city of Rafah, where more than 1 million civilians have gathered after being displaced from northern Gaza. At today's State Department briefing, spokesman Matthew Miller said the Biden administration is strongly urging Israel against the operation.
We have made clear to Israel that we think a full-scale military invasion of Rafah would have an enormously harmful effect on those civilians and that it would ultimately hurt Israel's security.
A fatal motorcycle crash in Tennessee. 41-year-old Jonathan Golden was killed after a motorcycle crash on Natchez Trace Parkway yesterday. It happened around 2:45 p.m. near Highway 100 when he was entering an exit. Witnesses say that he was traveling at a high rate of speed before that collision. And crowds gathered in New York's Niagara Falls State Park to be on the path of totality for today's total eclipse of the sun, the last one in the lower 48 states until 2044. Rena Roy was in Niagara Falls as the moon shadow passed over.
Now we're seeing it. We are seeing it. It's really incredible, and I can look at it with my naked eye because there is some cloud cover, but it's beautiful. I mean, you see the rim, you see the sun behind the moon. You can hear people cheering because it really is just such an incredible thing.
And that's the latest news. Traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation. What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
.339, ladies and germs, it's all Eclipse all the time on Super Talk 99.7 WTN as we continue to break down the ins and outs of what was and what was not in Middle Tennessee. My name is Matt Murphy. I am your guest host, Brian Wilson, heading back from his view of totality, 4+ minutes of a total eclipse of the sun. And, you know, that 3 or 4 minutes with Brian Wilson kind of captured my heart. I love Brian to death, and this is his show. But talking to Brian about it, I'm not about to pour cold water on his excitement while we're talking to him. But afterwards. Would it be worth the drive for you? I mean, different strokes for different folks.
Absolutely not for me.
Not
I mean,
for me.
I remember I spent the one in 2017 in my front yard at home with my wife and my son, and I just remember thinking, I'll be glad when this is over so I can go back inside. I mean, you know, that's honestly what I thought.
Weber.
I'm sorry.
I just imagine Weber standing there. Okay, if I leave now, I'm going to be judged. I'm definitely going to be
See,
judged.
that's rude.
And yeah, and what's his problem, and the majesty of the moment, and the spiritual nature of it. And we're so blah, blah, blah. Okay, can I leave now? Okay, no. Oh, maybe if I pretend that I have to go pee.
I got to go to the bathroom.
I've got, guys, so
Did I miss
unfortunate.
it? No.
Here's my thing. We are getting to a point, and sports is a good example of this, where there are some times when watching something on the big screen television is actually a superior experience to being there. I understand that there are trade-offs, like in anything. But I'm beginning to believe that when it comes to a solar eclipse, it is a superior experience to watch it on television.
I mean, it can't be worse, honestly. I mean,
I'm not used to
what are we looking at?
I'm not used to people being more grumpy about things than me, but here's Weber coming along.
Sorry.
But then there's Brian, and obviously Brian just appreciates and absorbs, and I don't begrudge him that. A lot of people do absorb the majesty of the whole thing and the beauty of the whole thing and what its significance in a grander scale might be. I admit that there were times when I did the same thing. All right, we'll talk about that coming up in just a moment. Right now it's time to talk to Congressman Tim Burchett. Maybe he's got a capper to put on this eclipse thing, which was kind of a bust here in Middle Tennessee. Tim, I don't know where you are right now. The only thing I can think of that would have been worse than watching the eclipse in Middle Tennessee with all of the cloud cover would be being in Washington, D.C. Congressman Burchett, how are you?
Well, you're exactly right. If I was watching the eclipse in Washington, D.C., and it was perfect, it would be worse than watching it in Knoxville, Tennessee, where it was very cloudy. But I'm blaming the clouds on Trump. I think it's clearly his fault. As the media, I'm sure will find some way to do that tomorrow.
You know, I'm so proud of the media. They kept that B-roll footage of him briefly glancing up to the sky in 2017 when the eclipse happened then, and they rolled that repeatedly, demonstrating to people what not to do when they know it's just like the mainstream media to roll out some of that B footage. They've got TDS, baby. TDS.
Yeah, they do. They should just done the B-roll of Joe Biden at any given speech in his multiple blunders that he makes. But I doubt you won't see that. They'll probably have him receiving some Nobel Prize by the end of the month, before the election anyway.
Congressman, you've been more outspoken about your desire to get to the bottom of what we do and do not know about extraterrestrial life, or as they're commonly known, UFOs, which are two different things, very different things. Are you satisfied that we've gotten anywhere close to the bottom of everything that our American government knows about our exploration of the heavens?
No, I'm not satisfied. We've done a lot better than they thought we would do. They thought they'd run us off, and then as it turned out, they started doing some polling, and that's why you saw the major media actually turn and start covering this. Out of the three, ABC, NBC, and CBS on the national, the only one who sort of took a poke at me and us was CBS, and then they pulled back a nub. People started calling in saying, "Hey, wait a minute! Now you've got physicists, astrophysicists, and others that are looking into it, and what has turned out is there's money to research this stuff now. So of course they're going to be researching it, but I think it's still a cover-up, wherever it's at, whoever they are, whatever they're from. As I've stated many times, it's not about little green men or flying saucers. It's finding out where they're spending the dadgum tens of millions of dollars. They claim these things don't exist, and then when they release the reports, they're so redacted, they look like somebody shot them with a 12-gauge shotgun. If there's nothing there, then why do they keep hiding it? So tell us what you're spending the money on. I want to know why the Pentagon cannot account for over $500 billion in assets. I think that's a good start. I think it's all tied in together. And eventually, like I said, somebody's going to walk out of one of these independent labs with definite proof of what's going on, and then that'll blow the lid off of it. But until then, I don't know what we're going to do, because you have these people at the Pentagon that keep saying that it's a circular type deal. It's just one incident that's easily explainable, and it's not one incident; it's multiple incidents. When I have one of our top pilots in the world tell me that something was flying within 14 feet of its canopy that they've never seen before, to me, that's when I have an admiral tell me that they're picking up on sonar under the water something a couple 100 feet, 200 feet large, that's doing a couple of 100 miles an hour. That, this is an admiral. This isn't some guy coming out of the backwoods somewhere. This is the real deal. So I just think we need to know. That's all I ask. That's all I want to do is know. And I'll shut up about it whenever.
Well, and I don't disagree with that. I think that for me, it's more an exposure of how secretive certain agencies decide to be, absent any sort of investigatory control over members of Congress like yourself, absent any third-party examination of what they're doing. They're hiding something, and that's the question. What exactly are they hiding? On the other side of things, Tim, I don't think that you could get 20 people from the government in a room, tell them a secret, and keep it a secret for very long. So I would be surprised if they would be able to keep these levels of secrets for this long, if it is what some are suggesting, and that is something extracurricular to the activities of the Earth.
Yeah, well, here's how pitiful it is. They tell us they don't have these organizations out there looking at it. And then you have a man produce a check stub from the department that they claim doesn't exist. And he was running it for years. And Lou Elizondo's his name. You ought to get him on your program. I mean, it's just part of the problem is, they say, why didn't Trump clean it up his first during his first term? It's just so dadgum big, and it's so corrupt, and it's disingenuous, and things are so compartmentalized. I mean, you have the same you have 3 or 4 different labs across the country doing some of the same research. I remember early on, I got Trump to they changed some of this. I think it was breast cancer. You had 3 different labs that were basically studying the same thing. They should have been studying different things, but because of the arrogance of federal authorities, they and their ever quest for more dollars, instead of dividing it up and have some kind of cohesive force doing this, their egos, they all studying the same dadgum thing, and we changed some of that, and that's federal government to a T, though. There's an arrogance there, and I don't know what's going to end it. I just keep thinking it's going to get better, and it just doesn't ever seem to.
Oh, well, I've been, and Congressman Tim Burchett is with us on the drive. No Brian Wilson today, Matt Murphy in for Brian. I've been meaning to talk to you about this for a while, Congressman, and today seemed the right day to do it, what with the eclipse and all, because many people are looking to the heavens, and they're thinking about our God, God and our earthly existence, and they're thinking spiritual matters and religious matters. Others are looking at the heavens and thinking about, extraterrestrials and UFOs and these types of things. And for you, these are not mutually exclusive concepts. And you've talked about this for a while, that you don't believe your Christian faith necessarily conflicts with a belief in extraterrestrial life.
No, I do not. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he said, Tim, to be honest with you, aliens need Jesus too. I said, yeah. I said, I guess so. But, but if you think about it, if you think about infinity, I mean, we are a grain of sand in 100 million beaches. I mean, that's what the earth is. I mean, just the vastness of God's great universe. I mean, the light from these stars you look at every night, some of it left those stars before the time of Christ. I mean, that's how far away it is. It's hard for us to comprehend. And so, yeah, I don't have a problem. As a matter of fact, it strengthens my faith. It shows that maybe in my incredible ego, I think that I'm the best that God can do. And then I realize, in fact, I am not.
I have more faith in you getting to the bottom of extraterrestrial life and what we know about it than I have the government of the United States spending within its means. As I turn our attention to where we are and where we're going over the spring and summer, I'll ask you one simple question about politics, Tim, and then leave it alone. Is the best we can hope for until the election of Donald J. Trump as the 47th president to hold the line? Is that the best we can hope for?
Possibly, but you're going to see, you got Mayorkas, the impeachment of him headed over to the Senate. You're going to have some Democrats put in a very tough position because they know this guy's a liar, and he's lied under oath. And, the fentanyl deaths, the crime, the $400 billion a year. I think you're going to see some eroding at the edges. If not, if the anarchists or the Marxists, and they are openly Marxists, there's no question, if they continue down this path, you could see some real harsh changes. Because if you go say Marjorie is successful in kicking out the speaker, a Democrat will be elected, and then all 3 branches will be controlled by far left Marxist radicals, and you will see the quickest change in this country that we've ever seen towards the worst. And I think, it's a very pivotal point in history. If you're a political scientist, this is going to be one of those times you'll study. But if you're a tax-paying, God-fearing American, it better be a time you're praying, because we could lose everything.
Well, that's those are scary words that you speak, but I know you're telling the truth, and you're a stand-up guy, Tim. I appreciate you stopping by on the drive this afternoon. We'll do it again very soon, and enjoy as best you can the goings-on of Washington, D.C. Enjoy Tennessee while you can, too, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
Thank you, brother.
All
And
right,
we live in the place in the country.
Amen. No, I agree with you there. There's Congressman Tim Burchett joining us for a few moments. I think he was still in Knoxville there. Disappointed about the cloud cover, as we were here in Middle Tennessee and in Nashville. It's 3:52. This is The Drive on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, it's Dan Mandison. I love My Patriot Supply. It's emergency food so you can care for your family no matter what. And today, we're fixing creamy chicken flavored rice. And the thing I love about My Patriot Supply, it's easy. You just get the water, turn on the heat, and in minutes, we are ready to go. Now, this food lasts for 25 years in special packaging, and yes, it does taste great. And in just minutes, it's ready to eat. Patriots don't rely on the government to take care of their family in emergencies. It's up to you. Order right now and get $200 off a 3-month food kit. It's important to go to preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. That's preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. Preparewithmandis.com. $200 off a 3-month food kit.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
.401, I'm Mac Maury with your top story. 74 degrees here in Music City with that sun starting to poke out a bit more than it did during what ended up being a very cloudy eclipse day. Traffic, complete weather forecast headed your way in 5 minutes. Starting in the nation's capital, Congress is back in session this week, setting up a potential Republican showdown between House Speaker Mike Johnson and Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Greene could soon call for a vote on the House floor to remove Johnson from his position as Speaker. Perry Russum is in Washington with more.
Less than 6 months after House Speaker Mike Johnson rose to power, there's an attempt to cut him down. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene filing a motion to vacate back in March, and she could soon put it up for a vote on the House floor. Greene has been ratcheting up attacks against Johnson online. She has issues with his willingness to work with Democrats. Johnson has called the move a distraction for Republicans.
Back here in Tennessee, a missing teenager in Williamson County. 15-year-old Akila Jaslyn Walton was last seen yesterday leaving her Thompson Station home. It was around noon. Walton has black hair, 5 feet tall, weighs around 110 pounds. The sheriff's office said that she may be in the Williamson-Davidson County area, and if you have any information, you're asked to call the Williamson County Sheriff's Office immediately. And former President Trump making headlines over the weekend by releasing a new video saying he believes abortion should be a states' right issue, appearing to reject calls on a nationwide ban. The video now drawing criticism from both sides of the aisle, according to Rick Klein.
He has tried to stay quiet, but now that he has weighed in, he is being attacked, frankly, from both sides, and he's leaving unanswered what is a critical question. Even as a Florida voter himself, he will have the chance to weigh in on a constitutional amendment that would protect abortion rights this fall. He's not saying how he would vote on that, much less what he thinks any individual state should do. So he's trying to find a political happy median here in a debate that I think we all know there isn't a lot of middle ground to be found.
And in the Volunteer State, a crime story. A man who was free on bond, 26-year-old Thomas Pointer, was taken back into custody after reported stealing a Nissan from a 33-year-old man at an intersection of East Old Hickory Boulevard and Gallatin Pike. Pointer accused of shooting and seriously injuring that victim. Officials tracked the stolen vehicle down using an Apple AirTag. Police caught him. They found weapons along with over 200 oxycodone pills. His bond has been set at $95,000. And that's the latest news. Traffic and a weather forecast on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
This is not Brian Wilson. This is The Drive. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. I'm in for Brian today. Brian driving back from Indiana, eventually making his way all the way into, what is Indiana, the Granite State? Boy, if I pulled that.
The Hoosier State.
What's the Granite State?
Granite. It's not Indiana, I don't think.
Dadgummit, you're right, I think.
Let's
I
see.
hate saying that. Hate saying that so early in an hour. But I think Chris Webber's right. Chris
New
Webber's behind the
Hampshire is
glass.
the Granite State.
New Hampshire is the Granite State. I'm certain you're right about the Hoosier State. I mean, that's got to be. I mean, they might have other nicknames, but they certainly have that one. One way or the other, Wilson is back from Indiana or traveling back from Indiana. We'll check in with him during the 5 o'clock hour and see if some of the afterglow of the big 4 minutes of totality has worn off, or if he's still excited about his journey to the Hoosier State in order to see that length of time with the moon blocking the sun.
The crossroads of America. The state motto of Indiana.
The Granite State. What a putz. And I thought for like a half second I was right.
You felt good about it.
I felt
very,
Granite
very
State.
briefly.
That's right. Indiana, the Granite State. Who hasn't heard that? Who hasn't said it? Oh, and then you go the Hoosier State. Oh, yeah, that sounds right. One way or the other, I've got for those just joining us on the drive. We've been talking a little bit about the eclipse. I have some very lovely 2024 solar eclipse sunglasses for sale. They're going cheap.
Just trying to set the mood.
No, that's good. This song is probably blaring at every solar eclipse sunglass manufacturing facility across the world. Is it like
they're mourning?
Little tears trickling down the sides of their faces.
See you in 20 years, guys.
The internet ruined this song for me. Have you seen the literal video?
I don't think so.
The solar eclipse. For a second, there was I don't know who did it, but there was somebody that was putting out literal videos. And so they were reworking the words of the lyrics. And they were matching the words of the lyrics to the videos that came out with these songs back in the 1980s and the zenith of the MTV era.
Yeah.
And this one is my 100%. Do yourself a favor, and at some point over the course of the evening, go watch the literal video of total eclipse of the heart. I mean, so who are the big winners for the eclipse? Bonnie Tyler.
Absolutely.
There's no question.
Yep.
I mean, can you name another Bonnie Tyler song? I think there's one.
Not that off the top of my head. No.
I can't name it. So she's a big winner. And the folks that manufacture these sunglasses are big winners.
Yep.
And I suppose those that really, really get into it, Brian Wilson. They're big winners too, because they get excited about it. But other than that,
There may be an ophthalmologist out there that gets a little bit excited that someone may look at the sun without the protection. I don't know.
I learned my lesson, and the thing that is difficult for people to understand, even adults to understand, in all seriousness, I learned the lesson when I was 11 years old, because I started going out with my grandfather, who was a heavy equipment mechanic, who worked on earth-moving equipment, logging equipment, grassing equipment, big stuff. And he did a good amount of arc welding. And he told me, do not look at this while I'm welding. And he gave me a welding mask and said, you can look at it through this, but do not look at it otherwise. And so I did look through the welding mask, and then I looked at the difference between regular sight. But I perceived it that it would hurt if it was hurting me.
You would physically feel it, yes.
At the moment that I was looking at it, that it would hurt me right then.
Right.
And it wasn't hurting me, so I thought I was doing nothing wrong. I found out that night that it's very different, because as I tried to go to bed that night, my eyes, I wanted to claw them out of my head.
Mm-hmm.
And because I had retinal burn on my eyes. And you can get that. It's a real deal thing. Yep. So, be careful. You couldn't get it in Middle Tennessee.
Probably not.
Too many clowns. So it was a big bummer. Anyway, we're lamenting the eclipse that was and the eclipse that was not across Middle Tennessee. As we continue the drive this afternoon, you're welcome to be involved in it. 615-737-9986. If you want to buy some sunglasses, I've got them for sale for cheap. You just make me an offer on the Members Nutrition Super Text line, and we're happy to go that route for you as well. In the meantime, we had a big name in town recently. The 50th IRS commissioner, who was named, said same in May of 2023, stopped by town. He was supposed to stop by my show last Friday. Apparently, he went over to the Tennessean instead, did a little Q&A with the Tennessean. Danny Werfel is his name, and and he says that he wants to reform America's beleaguered tax system. I have a message for Mr. Werfel. We wanted to send him this message as we, here's what happened. They knew they were coming into town. They hit up a couple of media outlets to do interviews. They hit us up to do interviews. They actually toured our facility. For those that aren't able to catch the midday show, I'm normally on from noon until 3, of course. We had him scheduled for last Friday. He had 3 separate people. This is the commissioner of the IRS. Now, I understand that his job is a little, I imagine that it can be a little tense. I imagine that people can direct their anger and frustration, generally speaking, at the federal government in his direction. And so I don't begrudge him a certain modicum of security. I get that. Much like attorneys general from around the United States of America, much like a governor or, a major figure in politics in any given state, you need a certain level of security because there are crazies out there. What happened last week was pretty crazy in and of itself. So the day before they were set to come in and do their interview on Friday, they sent 3 people to this facility right here, to tour it and to examine how secure we truly were, to examine how to get Danny Werfel, someone who you've probably never heard about in your life. I imagine that many of you, the first time you're learning that Danny Werfel was not a quarterback who played in the SEC years and years ago, is right now, when you're learning that some other guy whose name is spelled differently than that Danny Werfel.
It's not the same guy.
Not the same guy.
Well, never mind then. I was going to tell you should ask him about playing for Spurrier. How'd you like that?
He was, he was a Gator, right?
Yeah, Florida Gator.
And see, I was predisposed to hate him, and I was going to get after him. You know what I mean? Because for those who don't know, both Weber and myself are Georgia Bulldogs through and through. But they canceled on us. So they do this. They invited themselves on the show. We agreed. We being myself and my producer on the midday show, Bell K. They did a security walkthrough. They charted his path to the radio station. They charted a path between his vehicle and this studio. They talked about how they would exit if they had to make an immediate exit out of the studio. They created a dramatic scenario by which he would have to bunker down. And they determined where, I'm not kidding, they determined where in this building that Danny Werfel, the IRS commissioner, would bunker down in case there was an attack on the building. 3 people providing security. Wow. And after all of that, they didn't show up. They told us that they had a scheduling snafu and they had a better opportunity or something or another, to which I would suggest that they did a bit of background research on the show and the radio station and decided that maybe I wasn't their guy when it came to talking to the IRS commissioner, because I think, A, we should abolish the IRS, or at least we should abolish the vast majority of the IRS. We should be able to utilize the IRS in terms of its services for the American people for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to chart the flow of income, to base your income and to match up your income and your Social Security, because I don't believe that we should be taxed based on our income. I believe we should be taxed based on our consumption. I'm a long-time supporter of the fair tax. The fair tax is not a flat tax. It's a national consumption tax. I've been a supporter of the fair tax for going on 20 years now, and I would have said the same to the IRS commissioner should he have stepped into our studios this past Friday. Sadly, he has chosen not to do that. I would love to make April 15th just another day on the calendar. I would love it if everything that you did in your life in terms of taxes to the government was based on that which you consumed and not the income that you earned. It is naturally a depressive state of being that the government taxes you to a greater rate depending on how successful you are in terms of the income you're able to generate. It's wrong. It's wrong-minded. And sadly, we're left with it in the United States of America. But I would love a day that we could have a serious conversation about the fair tax. And maybe, you know, considering we're a week out from April 15th, it's a conversation that we're set to have over the next week or so. But I would just note that Mr. Werfel was in town, and he said that it is his job to reform America's beleaguered tax system. Congress approved nearly $80 billion to upgrade the IRS's operations in the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. They're spending $80 billion to, quote, upgrade the IRS's ability to audit you or to take more money from you or to be more efficient at taking money from you. The funds are meant to improve customer service, technology, and to create a free direct file system so taxpayers have the option outside free commercial tax preparation services. Tennessee is one of 12 states that piloted the direct file system this year. According to Werfel, his message, the IRS is working to make easier to file taxes for free in Tennessee. Does it cost money to file your taxes? I mean, you pick up a 1040. I'm a little bit confused. And maybe I'm spoiled because for years I've used a tax preparer in Birmingham. So perhaps I am woefully unable to answer the question. But I thought you could do your taxes on your own for free. I mean, if you have a public education, do you not have the ability to do the math? He asks rhetorically and giggles at the end. All right, so there's that on the table. Just wanted to mention that. Donald Trump has given his statement regarding abortion, and I think we need to talk about it on the drive. I'm going to share with you Donald Trump's statement in its totality in a game that I like to call stop and go. It's where I will start the commentary, I will stop it on occasion to offer a little bit of my own commentary, to offer some opinions that I have about it, and then we'll continue it afterwards. It's about a 4-minute clip that Donald Trump shared on Truth Social, and we will play it for you directly because most media outlets will not do this, and I think it's important that you hear Donald Trump's take on this for yourself because it's a very important issue moving forward. Obviously, abortion is always one of the most important issues we'll ever discuss because you're talking about matters of life and death. And these are very delicate, sensitive, and in so many ways spiritual issues that we discuss in a political way. And we'll do that next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
President Biden trying to forgive more students and their student loans. And we got some money news as well right here. Taking a trip to Wall Street, 430 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Morey. Matt Murphy in for Brian Wilson, who's traveling back from Indiana after viewing the total eclipse of the sun. A New York appeals court judge has rejected former President Donald Trump's request to delay his April 15th criminal trial involving reportedly paying hush money to Stormy Daniels to keep her quiet. Not something that he's done and not something that's been very successful in the court systems. They tried to get John Edwards on similar charges and actually the John Edwards charges were much more direct than these. But the decision has been made today, a week before jury selection was to start, that the case will not move and that the case will not be delayed. Donald Trump does not want the case in Manhattan. Trump's lawyers had argued that at an emergency hearing that the trial should be postponed while they seek a change of venue to move it out of the heavily Democratic Manhattan, where Donald Trump is not expected to get a fair or impartial jury or trial. But that's not what this is about. All you need to know about any of these cases, and I understand it can get confusing, you've got the one, this case, the hush money criminal case going on. You had previous to this the civil trial that was going on. Donald Trump eventually had to set up a $175 million bond in that case while he appeals it. You've got the case in Washington, D.C. going on. You've got the case in Florida going on. The D.C. case involving January 6th. The Florida case involving documents that have been suggested Donald Trump took illegally back to Mar-a-Lago. And we can delve as deeply into any one of these cases as you want to, and as comprehensively as you want to. And we have. I know Brian Wilson has. I know I have. With regularity, we talk about these things because they matter as it pertains to the presidential election in November. But that is why they matter. And I would suggest to you that it is not just the biggest reason, it's the only reason. Friends, know this. None of this would be happening if Donald Trump were not running for president. Ask yourself that question. And then you begin to fully understand the political nature of each one of these prosecutions. Everyone wants to be the first to do what liberal Democrats have claimed that they are going to do. You just wait and see. Since 2015, not really 2015, more like 2016, actually. None of these elitist, leftist entities took Donald Trump very seriously in 2015. They treated him like, well, they talked about how they felt about him. He was a carnival barker. He was an entertainer. He wasn't serious. He was a sideshow, dog and pony show. Until he started winning the hearts and minds of the American people and until he started speaking to the American people above, beyond, and outside of the narratives created by the mainstream media. And when that happened, he became a threat. When he became a threat, he became a target. And he's been a target ever since. Donald Trump would not be a target were he not a threat to the movement of the socialist state. And he is. He was and he is. They stymied so much of his first 4 years in office. Not just with the nonsensical Russian collusion probe and the Robert Mueller nonsense and how much that took everyone in D.C. off their game with regard to those that were interested in cleaning up the swamp. But then, obviously, the awful COVID-19 was used against Trump and to the advantage of the leftist Democrats as well. All you need to know about these cases is answered in a simple question. Would any of this be going on if he were not running for president of the United States? Just ask yourselves that. All right, we'll get into the abortion issue coming up just after the news. Plus, yes, we will talk about Morgan Wallen. I'll give you a little history of Morgan Wallen and Lower Broadway. Hint, it ain't pretty. That's coming up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
30 minutes after the hour of 4 o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top story. 74 degrees, partly sunny here in Nashville. Eclipse day kind of ruined by the clouds here in the mid-state, and those clouds could turn into storms this evening. Forecast traffic report just ahead, 5 minutes. President Biden announcing new student debt forgiveness plans that, combined with actions the administration has already taken, will benefit over 30 million Americans if the plans are finalized. Under this new plan, up to $20,000 in interest would be canceled for the 25 million Americans who owe more money than what they originally borrowed. Borrowers who make less than $120,000 a year would be eligible to have their interest canceled. Here's Karen Travers with the latest.
President Biden says student debt is crippling too many Americans, and that is hurting the U.S. economy.
While a college degree still is a ticket to the middle class, that ticket's becoming much too expensive.
The president touting new steps that could impact around 25 million borrowers.
My administration will propose a new rule to cancel up to $20,000 in runaway interest for any borrower that owes more now than when they started paying the loan.
Now on this Monday, we'll take a look at the money news. Daria Albinger letting us know what's going on Wall Street.
Stocks closed mixed after last week's roller coaster of a ride. The Dow lost 11 points, the Nasdaq fell 2, while the S&P rose 5. A warning from J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon, the man seen by many as the nation's most influential banker, told investors that inflation and political polarization are creating risks to the economy that we haven't seen since World War II. The focus on the economy continues to be interest rates, specifically if and when the Federal Reserve will lower them. A string of reports on inflation and the economy show it's still running hotter than the central bank would like to see, forcing it to delay forecasts on when that relief could arrive. We do get two important reports on the economy this week, starting with Wednesday's Consumer Price Index, which measures what we pay for just about everything, month to month and year over year, followed a day later by the Producer Price Index, which measures inflation on the wholesale level.
And that is the latest news, traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com. Super Talk 99.7 WT and Matt Murphy. And for Brian Wilson, Brian on his way back from Indiana after watching a total eclipse of the sun. I feel like Bonnie gets 3 or 4 pennies every time we play that. We should do it as often as possible.
She probably needs all the money she can get. Right?
She needs the cash. How old do you think Bonnie Tanner is?
65, probably.
I'm going 71.
Think she's that old?
Let's fact check it. In the meantime, speaking of music, obviously Morgan Wallen has made quite the name for himself in the country music scene.
Ooh. 72. You were really close.
Oh, hello. Not normally that close. And I didn't go over. So that's Price is Right rules, too.
Yeah.
Nice. Morgan Wallen, I admit my areas of ignorance. I try to, at least. Sometimes I'm a failure at that, but I try to admit to you and be open to you as to where I have these broad blank spaces, and I think we all have them. I am a blank space when it comes to Morgan Wallen's music. I don't know it. I don't pretend to know it. Any level of whatever expertise I might think that I might have had in music ends at about 2000. And from there on, and I know that's sad to say, but it's true. So nothing that I'm about to say is any reflection on Morgan Wallen's music, because I couldn't reflect on Wallen's music if I wanted to. I don't know that I could name you a single song. Mac Morey, before we started the show, the drive this afternoon, we had a brief discussion about this, and he said, well, you know this, or he said, well, what about this one? And you played me a piece, and I said,
never heard it.
Nope. No, maybe, I don't know. Maybe. It sounds country-ish. Maybe I heard it in a bar somewhere. I don't know. What do you guys make of Morgan's latest? What do you think, Mac Morey?
He definitely let the liquor talk. That's what I'll say. Which is also referencing his hit song. There you go,
right,
Murphy.
okay.
Yeah.
I assume that was a Morgan Wallen reference.
Yes.
Mr. Weber, have you ever?
Am I supposed to have an opinion?
Have you ever been of a predisposition where you wanted to throw a chair off a 6th-story balcony?
I can't say that I have. Maybe a chair at someone nearby, but never just throw it off the roof for no reason.
Well, at some point, do you not have to accept the idea that a 30-year-old man has an alcohol problem?
Didn't he go to rehab or get help or something after the first incident?
I think he went to rehab his image.
Yeah.
Let's be clear here. Tiger Woods did not go to a sexual rehabilitation clinic in Mississippi because he truly wanted to rehabilitate himself from what he called his sexual addiction. He wanted to rehabilitate his image with his millions and millions of fans. Yep. I think that's a good place to start. So I don't know what's in Morgan Wallen's heart. I don't pretend to. And I'm not begrudging if you love the man, you love the man, and that's all well and good. But at some point, a grown man needs to start acting like it instead of acting like a privileged child. And anyone that thinks that we live on a planet where it's ever Matt, he's got an out. Well, you've probably known that you had an alcohol issue for a long time. This should not be your wake-up call when you throw a chair off the roof of a bar on Lower Broadway. Here's the story if you've not heard it. Morgan Wallen was arrested late into the evening, just outside of Chief's, which is a relatively new bar on Lower Broadway, owned by. It is a good, name. It's a good name, but not the reason you think it's a good name.
Settle down.
Easy. I wonder if they have some shirts for sale for you to wear.
Yeah.
What day are you on, by the way?
38.
Does Brian Wilson allow you conversation about this nonsense that you're doing on the drive?
We never talk about it.
Have you never talked about this on the show?
Discussed it.
All right,
Wait a minute now. So prove it. You got to prove it.
You got to. Yeah, you got to get over there. What do you got? Where is it?
Oh yeah, give me a second.
Nobody can see it.
Well,
so
you're not wearing it?
For those who
I had it on, I got.
Yeah, we're at the dregs.
See.
We're at the dregs
We
now.
are.
So for those that do not know, Mac Morey wears more hats, literal and figurative, than basically anyone else at the radio station. So not only is he a newsman extraordinaire for both The Drive, and he also serves as my newsman for at least an hour in the day, he also produces the Chris Hand Show from 9 until noon. We don't let him leave. And he is a beloved Kansas City Chiefs supporter and fan. And soon, well, the day after the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, I think I have this right, you and Hand were discussing how much Chiefs paraphernalia you own.
Yep.
Shirts, pants, coats, hats, socks, whatever. And you guys decided that you'd see how long you could go in the aftermath of their Super Bowl victory. What did I tell you last week?
You said at some point this just starts to become rather sad. Like the beginning, it's kind of cool. It's fun.
Oh, wow, look at that. It's a cool Chiefs
he's a
shirt.
Chiefs fan.
Oh, look, you got your Chiefs hat on.
He's passionate.
And at some point, I don't get sad for you either. I get sad for Hannah.
What are you wearing tonight, honey? Well, I got something special for you.
What do you have today? I can't see it.
I'll have it on my segment. I don't have it on right now.
So is it a what is it?
With
What
you?
kind of
It's a
article
hat.
of?
It's a hat.
Okay, all right.
Is it a cap?
Cap.
Okay.
Yep.
Are we about to get to the end of all of this?
I'm trying to get past I'm at 30. This is 38. So I figure if I can try and get to 50, I'm like, it's gonna be a stretch.
Do you have it? You think?
I think
We'd
I
be
do.
close?
I definitely this week and halfway through next week's going to be easy. It'll start to get a little harder.
And for those curious, the rules were you obviously can't double up in clothing.
Can't repeat.
And everything counts, but it only counts once.
Yep. And I've got a informed Google Doc of all the days.
You're keeping a Google
Really put a
Doc.
lot of effort into this.
Yeah.
Do you have any Kansas City Chiefs underpants?
I don't. So no verification needed there.
Well, no. I mean, I certainly wasn't going to be the one to verify.
I mean, you
Just-
seemed really eager, but I don't know.
I mean, I would take one for the team if necessary. So this is why Mac Morey reacts in the way that he does. Have you been to Chiefs?
I don't think I have.
I have not either.
Yeah, I don't think I have.
I think
it just opened, right?
I think it's pretty. Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
Thought so.
pretty new.
I'll have to check out their chairs.
All right, so no statement has yet been issued about what happened by the bar itself, but here's the lowdown. In a statement, in a statement released to the Tennessean by Morgan Wallen's representatives, Wallen's lawyer, a man by the name of Warwick Robinson, noted at 10:53 Central Time Sunday evening, that would be last night, Morgan Wallen was arrested in downtown Nashville for reckless endangerment and disorderly conduct. He's cooperating fully with authorities. Wallen was released at about 3:30 this morning on $15,250 bond. He's due in court May 3rd. The date coincides with one of his 3 planned concert dates at Nissan Stadium in Nashville. Well,
It's convenient.
I mean, I guess if you had to have a court date, at least you're in town. He is scheduled to perform May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at Nissan. There's no denying his popularity amongst country music fans. There is denying whether or not he has good sense. Officers in a police report say the 30-year-old singer was accused of throwing a chair from the establishment's rooftop down to the street below while the bar just before 11 o'clock. Metro Nashville police officers were standing in front of the bar and saw the chair hit the ground just feet from where they were standing. I mean, he was literally about 3 feet from, at very least, assaulting a police officer and potentially killing him. Now, I've seen some of the commentary about, well, this is just how singers do. This is in a long tradition. Some want to laugh this off as, well, that's how George Jones did it. The possum got arrested riding his lawnmower trying to get back to the liquor store. Ha, ha, ha. I mean, at some point, this is no longer funny. Being not a fan, I'm sensitive to those who are and the predisposition that I would have if I were a fan of Morgan Wallen's of attempting to defend him or defend his behavior. And look, I don't know if he's contrite about what has happened in his past. I don't know. He got arrested in 2020 downtown Lower Broadway for public intoxication and disorderly conduct. He fought with police officers. Obviously, the incident that happened in 2021 outside of his home that was documented on door camera footage of him repeatedly screaming the N-word at friends of his, that's well documented. It doesn't matter to me, nor do I know if Morgan Wallen has contrition in his heart about those incidents. But he doesn't seem to care very much about other people. And that should be bothersome to those of you who spend your hard-earned money supporting what he does. It should be bothersome that he thought nothing of the idea of throwing a chair off the 6th floor of a building onto not an unpopulated street below, but on the most populated street on any given moment of any given day in Nashville, Tennessee. I hope Morgan Wallen gets the help that he needs. I really do. Because, I mean, obviously he needs some sort of help controlling him. Because if that's just the liquor talking, the liquor's not saying anything good. It's 4:49 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Israeli leaders have a plan set for military operations in the southern Gazan city of Rafah. U.S. officials advising against that. Anton Rucker, the suspect in the Easter Sunday shooting right here in Nashville, now back here in custody in Nashville. TikTok news and more crime stories in Tennessee. 5 o'clock, Super Talk, then a 9-7 WTN.
Ding dong news. Still no Kansas City Chiefs gear anywhere on our Super Talk television cameras. You're the ding dong, by the way.
I said the segment. 525.
Okay. All right.
Mac Maury's Wide Wild World of Sports.
Is that what it is?
That's what it is.
I need to practice during the top of the hour news. It's the
if you don't get it right, don't worry. We never get it right.
We don't either. Yeah.
Mac Maury's wild, wacky, weird world of sports.
That's it.
Is that close?
That's good enough.
Good enough, yeah.
Dadgummit, see, I've got the music in the background. Russell, hang in there. Danny, you too. I'm curious your thoughts on Morgan Wallen and addiction issues surrounding what happened last evening for Morgan Wallen. Also, we'll get into the issue of Donald Trump and abortion. Not a trickier political subject on the face of the planet. The issue of abortion. We'll talk about that with you on the phones at 615-737-9986 as we continue subbing in for Brian Wilson. It's Matt Murphy on the Drive on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Five o'clock, I'm Mac Maury here with your top story. 74 degrees, traffic, complete weather forecast headed your way in 5 minutes. Israeli leaders say the plan is set for military operations in the southern Gaza city of Rafah, where more than 1 million civilians have gathered after being displaced from northern Gaza. At today's State Department briefing, spokesman Matthew Miller said the Biden administration is strongly urging Israel against this operation.
We have made clear to Israel that we think a full-scale military invasion of Rafah would have an enormously harmful effect on those civilians and that it would ultimately hurt Israel's security.
Right now, back in Tennessee, Anton Rucker, the suspect in the Easter Sunday shooting in Salem town that killed one person, injured 5 others, has now returned to Nashville after being arrested in Kentucky. He was found at a home in Princeton, Kentucky. 33-year-old Alan Beecham died because of this shooting. Rucker had a lengthy criminal history prior to the tragedy. And the fight over Chinese-owned TikTok continuing in Washington as Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen visited China, trying to ease U.S. tension with Beijing. In floor remarks this afternoon, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell throwing his weight behind a House-passed bill that would require TikTok's Chinese parent company to sell the app or force a ban in the U.S. App Store.
The competition is not an away game. America's greatest strategic rival is threatening our security right here on U.S. soil in tens of millions of American homes.
Crime in the Volunteer State. A man arrested in Nashville Saturday night after crashing into a man on a scooter. 23-year-old Leonard John Patrick Recker was driving the scooter when officials reported that 73-year-old Randolph Ford came up behind him at a high rate of speed in his truck and hit him before crashing into a pole. Ford's being charged. His blood's being tested to see if there was any presence of drugs or alcohol. And Ford did make his bond, which was set at $15,000. In an entertainment news, a big week for Beyonce's country album, Jason Nathanson.
And that tornado's name is Beyonce. Her album, Cowboy Carter, ripped through the music world with the best debut week of the year so far. Equivalent sales and streams of more than 400,000 units, according to Billboard. The best week for an album since Taylor Swift's 1989 re-release in November of last year. It's also Beyonce's biggest sales week since her Lemonade album debuted 7 years ago. The album is #1 on the Billboard 200 album chart, the top country albums chart, the American folk albums chart, and the top album sales chart. Beyonce is the first black woman to hit #1 on the top country albums chart since its debut in 1964.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It is The Drive. Brian Wilson is off today, traveling back from Indiana, where he viewed the total eclipse of the sun. Matt Murphy in for Brian, episode 548 for me. Glad to be here until 7 o'clock this evening. We'll hand off to the great one at that time. Brian back tomorrow. I'm back in my normal position. You hear me from noon until 3 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And if you're not able, if you're saying to yourself, well, Murphy, it's good to hear you now. I've just gotten off work. I'm getting into the car. I'm traveling home. I hope your drive home's going as well as can be expected. Maybe there aren't as many cars on the roadways because everyone stayed at home for the big-time non-total eclipse of the sun happening in Nashville and in Middle Tennessee. One way or the other, I hope you get home safe and sound. And if you're unable to listen to us from noon until 3, there's a couple of options. One, of course, the podcast is up and available, 99.7WTN.com. Say it right, Murphy. 99.7WTN.com. You can also find us on Supertalk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. We're there and available even after the broadcast ends. We're there for preview or review, as the case may be. And then there's really the option that I would recommend, and that is evaluate your life and get another job. I mean, if you can't listen during the middle of the day, maybe we should think about other options for you.
Didn't you tell your employer before you took that job, hey, look, I got, other things that are more important than
have certain things to do during the middle of the day. Chris Weber's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as possible. Then there's Mac Morey back in the newsroom as well, and you'll hear those guys from time to time. Mac Morey's wild, wacky, weird world of sports coming up at 5:25 today. At some point during the 5 o'clock hour, we'll check back in with Mr. Wilson. And at some point, as promised, I will get to Donald Trump and his statement regarding abortion moving forward in the 2024 presidential contest. Discussing Morgan Wallen right now and some of the trials and travails away from the big stage for him. Obviously, he's had his moments. In the midst of COVID in 2020, he was booted out of Kid Rock's bar and subsequently arrested for throwing things and breaking things and, generally speaking, being drunk and disorderly. In the aftermath of that, the next year, the following year, there was the big TMZ video that came out showing him, once again, drunk and disorderly, throwing out racial slurs at some of his friends. That put a pause on his career, but did not stop it, certainly, and he regained a lot of that popularity, and some would suggest is more popular than ever now. And then there's this last night. He was arrested after allegedly throwing a chair off of the balcony of Chiefs, which is a bar on Lower Broadway owned by Eric Church, or at least in part owned by Eric Church. Police say that the chair landed within 3 feet of 3 officers standing on the street on Lower Broad. Morgan Wallen is now cooperating with authorities, and he has a May 3rd court date in Nashville, which coincides with his Nissan Stadium tour date. He has 3 nights that he's set to perform at Nissan Stadium, May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I believe that, at some point, look, I understand we all do things that we're ashamed of. We all do shameful things. At least most of us have done shameful things over the course of our lives. I thank God, and I mean this with all humility and sincerity, that there were not the amount of cameras and videos available today back when I was stomping around and doing silly and dumb things back in the 1990s during the college days and beyond in my 20s. Who knows what would have been available for me or for you or for us. And so I'm not casting aspersions. I'm not acting holier than thou here. But at some point, could have killed somebody. Could have killed somebody. There's a lot of defenders coming to his to Morgan Wallen's defense. Oh, well, that's the way country, that's the way it all goes. That's old school. No, I can't abide it. Russell, you've been holding on for some time in Mount Juliet. Thank you for your patience. How are you, Russell?
I'm doing good. I just wondered, can I get reparations for how long I had to wait to talk to you?
Yes, sir. You send me a self-addressed stamped envelope, and I'll send you those reparations immediately.
All right. Hey, so I'm a fan of Morgan Wallen's music, but I have a problem with it and with what he did. my daughter is in the film and video industry, and she's downtown quite a bit. And even when she's not working, she's, out with her friends. And I just think, what if she was 6 stories below that chair? And, when I was 25, in my 20s, yeah, I did stupid stuff. But it's like you said earlier, this guy's, 30 years old now? And there's a point in time when, you got to grow up. And I don't care how much money you make and how bold you think you are. Grow up and think about the people that you're affecting with your actions. And that just really bothered me when I thought about that. And
well, I mean, it's one thing, I have, and I'm losing your cell there, Russell. I'm sorry that we are, but thank you for the comments, and I appreciate the telephone call on the drive. I have a saying that I will repeat regularly. If you're a regular listener to my show from noon until 3, you've heard it. If not, maybe you haven't, and that is, every man deserves to go to hell in his own fashion. My dad always said it to me once or twice. What does it mean? Well, no one is wishing you there. But in a country that believes in and abides by the concept of free will and freedom, to achieve or fail through your own hard work, through your own talents and ingenuity and opportunity, well, if you believe that we as Americans can achieve the highest of the highs, well, you can achieve the lowest of the lows too. And while you ought to, let us hope that you have those circle of friends that can surround you with love and support and try to guide you in the right direction. If you are hell-bent on ruining your life through alcohol or other addictive means, that's on you. All we can do is try to provide. I'm not saying that that's Morgan Wallen either. I don't know the guy enough to create any diagnosis. It's one thing, I would say this, it's one thing to get caught on video spouting out nastiness out of your mouth with your buddies as you get home from a drunken night of debauchery or whatever. And I will give him credit because I saw what he did in the aftermath. Once again, I don't know his music. But in the aftermath, he tried to make a point not to blame the alcohol, but almost every supporter of his brought up his alcohol problem. And we thought that he had that handled. At some point, if I'm a fan of his, I got to walk away. Now, I'm not, so I'm kind of not in that arena. I don't have anything against him. I don't have anything for him either. But I have a hell of a lot against people throwing off chairs off the 6th floor on Lower Broad. I mean, if I'm Morgan Wallen, I'll say this. If I'm Morgan Wallen, I am on my knees thanking God Almighty that I didn't hit somebody in the head and kill them. Not for my career. That's the wrong prayer. Not, oh, thank goodness more bad things did not happen to me. Let's start thinking about other people. And let's start acting with a little dose of humility. That's just Murphy's. And that's coming from me. And I mean, I got a 6th floor ego. Dana's next in Clarksville. Thank you for your call, Dana. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm wonderful. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to say that I have a lot of compassion for this person. What's his name? Wallen? Morgan
Wallen. Yes, ma'am. Country music singer.
Okay, country. Addiction is a disease. There's proof that when you ingest certain substances, especially if you've gone on to certain levels of the addiction spectrum, you start out with green, where, it's like, okay, you can take it or leave it. Yellow is, this is what I learned in DUI class. Yellow is, okay, you need it for social reasons. Orange, you need it for like psychological reasons. Red, there's no going back. If he truly is an addict or an alcoholic, there's something that happens to the brain. It's in the amygdala, I think they say it. Like you don't make decisions. You make a decision like a 2-year-old. Like you cannot help the decisions you make. And I'm here to tell you right now, I'm a Republican. I am conservative, but I understand because I did not drink my entire life until I was 36 years old after 4 children, an abusive husband. I didn't smoke cigarettes. I didn't do anything wrong. I got a master's degree in education from Austin State University. Didn't do anything. And then when my ex-husband started abusing me, I started drinking on the wine on the weekends, and it turned into insanity. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's but I understand these people, like, they don't know what they're doing. It's like when you get that substance in your body.
Well, Dana, can I talk for a second?
Yes,
sir. All right, because I don't want to rush you, but I'm a little bit limited. But I've got a couple of minutes, but I'm a little bit limited. But here's I want to say this to you before we lose our time. One, are you okay now?
I'm absolutely fine.
Okay, all right. So
I'm about to go to Planet Fitness in Clarksville on Madison Street and work out because
you have overcome it through the support of family, friends, and I imagine through
15 months in recovery court, Montgomery County Recovery Court. Yes.
But you managed to overcome these things.
Yes, sir.
Good for you. God bless you. Good for you.
I am brokenhearted.
I think you just, didn't you just give us the answer to it all for Morgan Wallen?
He needs help. He needs love. He needs compassion. I'm not saying a fluffy love. I'm talking about tough love. That's what Montgomery County, Tennessee did to me.
Maybe some time in the pokey? Almost killing a cop?
Yeah, where women scream for like sanitary pads and they don't give them to you for like 3 days.
No.
Listen.
Dana, you're opening up an entirely new room of conversation that I don't have time for. Okay, so if you want to talk about Dana. If you want to talk about sanitary napkins in a particular facility, email me. We'll get you back on the show. We'll talk about that. I'm not trying to not talk about it. I'm just expressing to you that I'm time limited, and I don't want to be rude to you. Okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So thank you for sharing your personal story, and thank you for sharing with us your thoughts about Morgan Wallen and where he is in terms of potentially his addiction. I don't know where he is on that spectrum that you described, Dana. I pray that he's not in the red, and I'm thankful that you got the help that you needed. It's 5:20 on Super Talk.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
The Biden administration announcing new student debt forgiveness plans. Crime in Tennessee got a hit-and-run crash, and we take a look at how the rest of the nation viewed the eclipse. 5:30 Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Yes, indeed.
The globe to bring you the constant
Pardon me.
variety of sport.
I interrupted Jim McKay.
The thrill of victory.
My apologies.
And the agony of defeat.
This is where you go. All
Is
right,
Jim
now
done?
it's time
Okay.
for...
And now, okay, I was just checking. It's 5:25 on the drive with no Brian Wilson, Matt Murphy, and for Brian Wilson and not doing a very good job at it. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, gather around your radio. It's time for the wild, wacky, weird, wonderful world of sports with Mac Morey. Hello, Mr. Morey.
Yeah.
That's a fetching cap.
What an intro. Thank you.
That looks good.
And now we wait for the stinger right here. Thank you. Yeah, date. As is tradition. Got to let the stinger play.
As we do.
Day 38 of me wearing Chiefs clothes. Just had to prove it. This is my cap.
There it is.
On for today.
Does it really count, though? Because that's the first time I've seen you wear it.
I was wearing it this morning, Weber. There's video proof, so.
Okay. All right.
It's not like you wear it all day, though.
Yeah,
That's what's bothering
Yeah, I don't wear it all day. That's fair.
the rest of us.
But I guess it is just another piece of his
repertoire.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It looks new.
It does.
This one is new. This is actually maybe only my second time ever wearing this cap.
Mm-hmm. But you had it before the...
Had it before the challenge.
Okay.
Yes.
Mhm. Which is the rule, right?
Which is the rule. Can't buy anything new.
What's going on in the...
You need to work on the big... Well, never
Or do
mind.
you like it flat?
Well, yeah, no. See, I don't ever wear it forwards. I'm a backwards guy.
Oh, no.
I know. Red flag.
Oh, no.
Wait, but that's not a fitted hat, though, is it?
I liked him.
No.
Okay. See, to me, if you're going to go with I'm not a big backwards hat fan guy either, but if you're going to go backwards hat, it needs to be a fitted hat. I don't want to see your hair sprout sticking out
Really?
through the thing. Yeah.
What
no.
are you doing? I mean, I just what are you accomplishing? Is your head cold?
Style.
Got
the lettuce out.
Okay, that's legit.
Yeah.
That's an answer.
Okay.
It's not a good one, nor one that I completely accept, but it's an answer.
See, I'll put on the hat forwards, and then Hannah will be like,
Have you seen? You've seen the photos. There's a huge collection of them online of backward hat guy shielding his.
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally. See,
Backward hat guy shielding
Only
his.
there was something
that I could have that would avoid having to use my hand to shield this awful sun.
This happened on Saturday. We were sitting outside having a drink, Hannah and I was wearing a backwards hat, and I was sitting in the sun. So I went to go reverse it and go forwards because I need the functionality of this hat.
Good.
And Hannah was like, really? Forwards? And I was like, well, come on, dude. I'm going blind.
Really? Are you going to do that? Let's not do that.
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
Why don't we
okay.
just turn the entire picnic around?
It may be, but I don't want to. I probably shouldn't go there because we're taking up this segment with the hat talk. But is it because you have a head that's on the smaller side?
No, my head's actually bigger.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I know some guys wear backwards hats because their heads are too small and they look weird.
For the brim of the cap?
Yeah.
See, I have to get specialty hats.
Yeah, I've got
a huge melon.
Pumpkin head.
It's true.
Very empty, but it's
You see what happens, everybody? You see what happens? The new guy comes around. He lashes out just a little bit, and here it comes. Here it comes. And now the entire room is full of anger and vitriol. Just do some sports, would you?
Here we go. Some sports. Okay,
All right.
so yesterday was the women's basketball national championship, and it saw the most viewers that has ever had on ESPN. A basketball game has ever had. It was the most viewed basketball game ESPN has ever aired in history.
Just
Men's,
a basketball
women's,
game.
does not matter. Basketball game.
That's impressive.
The 2018 NBA Eastern Conference Finals between Cleveland and Boston, Game 7. Wow. That Iowa-UConn game. Excuse me. So that was the Final Four game, not the South Carolina. That was the Final Four matchup, not the championship game. Had the 14.2 million viewers. That was the most viewed basketball game, the largest audience for an ESPN basketball broadcast.
Can I try something real quick?
Pretty incredible.
Just to demonstrate how much this young lady has moved the needle. Is her name Caitlin Collins?
Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark. Oh, dadgummit. Close. Missed it by that much. Caitlin Clark. She, the only female basketball player I could name.
You got pretty close.
And I got kind of close. I named her first name. Anyway, go right ahead.
No, she's incredible. The goal now for women's basketball is to keep this momentum going and have this transfer over into hopefully WNBA views. She will be inevitably picked number 1 overall to the Indiana Fever. They got to make sure that first Indiana game of the first season is the next most viewed basketball game. They got to keep this hype and this momentum up. This really is kind of a revelation that we're seeing in women's basketball. It's pretty cool. Caitlin Clark has done a lot for the sport, and it's not just her. There's a lot of great athletes there, but she is the one that is bringing the 4.2 million people to go watch. And then tonight, the men's championship, the lesser viewed side of the bracket this year. It really is. It's crazy. People care more about the women's this year than the men's. You've got Connecticut versus Purdue, 2 number 1 seeds. 7'4" Zach Edey, Naismith Player of the Year for Purdue. He was the one who took off the Vols just a couple of weeks ago in that Elite Eight matchup, or a week ago or so. In that Elite Eight matchup, they'll take on the 36-3 UConn Huskies. They'll be the first team to try to go to back-to-back championship winners since I believe it was the Florida Gators in the early 2000s who did it. That was a stacked team: Joakim Noah, Chandler Parsons. So we'll see how this goes. I am predicting a UConn win. I don't think Purdue has enough. I hope it's a good game. And also just the orange in me wants to see Zach Edey go down. So let's go Huskies.
So Edey's the dude that just sits around in the lane and never gets called for, right?
Yeah, who elbows people and it's just, exactly. Yeah.
All right, so I know that Chris Webber, I would think, just for bragging rights, that you would want UConn to win, Webber.
Oh, yeah, because of the
as far as our bracket
for our little bracket thing, because UConn wins and Weber's a winner, right?
That's it.
Is that not right, McMorris? And if UConn loses, do I win? I think that's right.
I think that might be right.
I think that's correct because you have UConn.
Yeah, you have more points right now. As it stands, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. You need Purdue.
If Purdue wins, I'm the biggest. So I'm a Purdue Boilermaker tonight.
Okay.
So
whatever.
Here we go. So we got Murphy at first. He's got 800
This is the only
points.
way I watch any of this game, by the way, is if I find some random rooting interest.
You've got 800 points, which is your max. You don't have anyone left, but you've got the most in our bracket. Weber at 780, but his max is 1,100 with a UConn win tonight. So he will overwhelmingly beat you. And I would vault up into second place with a UConn win, which doesn't mean anything, but that'd still be nice.
Well,
beating you.
I do believe that you two will be ahead of me by the time the evening ends because I don't think anybody beats UConn. But I don't know anything about basketball. But I know this: that dude's very tall. I didn't really realize it. I had the opportunity to meet Shaq once.
Oh wow!
And Shaq is a huge human being. And television doesn't. You just can't understand. In every aspect, he's big. Mm-hmm. Did you see the video of Shaq meeting Edey?
Yeah.
And Edey's taller than him by a decent amount.
Wow.
It's like, wow.
Noticeably.
That's incredible. All right, is that the wide, wide world of sports? I think that's all the time we have for the wild, wacky, weird, wonderful world of sports.
By the way, before we go, I can name one other female basketball player.
Oh, yeah?
Dennis Rodman.
It's Chris.Weber. Right? Spell Weber with one B at Cumulus.com. Here comes the news.
$5:33. I'm Mac Maury with your top story. 74 degrees in Music City right now. We've got some possible storms and showers. Definitely be a wet week the rest of this week. It could start this evening. Latest traffic report, weather forecast in 5 minutes. President Biden announcing new student debt forgiveness plans that, combined with actions the administration has already taken, will benefit over 30 million Americans if the plans are finalized. Under this new plan, up to $20,000 in interest would be canceled for the 25 million Americans who owe more than what they originally borrowed. Borrowers who make less than $120,000 a year would be eligible to have their interest canceled. Here's Karen Travers.
President Biden said for millions of Americans, student debt relief is, quote, life-changing.
Too many people feel the strain and stress, wondering if they're can get married, have their first child, start a family, because even if they get by, they still have this crushing debt.
The White House says with these new steps, a total of 30 million Americans could now see relief.
It's for the good of our economy.
Crime here in Tennessee. Metro officials looking for a driver that is responsive for a hit-and-run crash this morning. 25-year-old Tara Rassaman was walking against traffic when she was hit on McCall Street by a Toyota Corolla. The car is believed to have damage to the front passenger side, likely missing the front passenger side fender liner as a result of this collision. Rasmussen is in critical condition. And a perfect day for many eclipse watchers from Texas to Canada. Lee Goldberg is in Burlington, Vermont, a top viewing spot for today's total solar eclipse.
That diamond ring was so piercing, so brilliant as it came out. And the highlight is when we were looking around the corona during totality, I saw a bright spot, red spot in the bottom, and I said, is that a CME? Is that a solar flare? The Vermont Astronomical Society was right next to us, and they yelled out, is it? Yep, absolutely. So we saw that solar flare. We get to study that, something that affects our Earth's atmosphere, our magnetic field. Just incredible stuff out here in Burlington, Vermont. So lived up to the hype.
And not as perfect here in the mid-state, where clouds covered a lot of the spectacle of the event. That's the latest news. Weather, traffic next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It is The Drive with the usual nonsense going on Nashville roadways. Hopefully, a no-nonsense approach to what's happening in the studio. Brian Wilson not here. We will check in with Mr. Wilson, speaking of being on the road, coming up in about 12, 13, 14 minutes from now. He will give us an update and give us some final thoughts on the 2024 solar eclipse. He saw the full totality of said eclipse. And this is what we're getting now for those of us, and I include you, Chris Weber, in this number. Now I'm getting a lot of this on my social media platforms and on the Super Text line, Members Nutrition. Super Text line available 615-737-9986. I'm getting this, and this is fine. Well, you guys have never seen a total eclipse. That's what I'm being told. And that is different. That what we saw, Nashville, what I saw in Birmingham several years, nope, that's not the real deal. The total eclipse, that's where it's really at.
Yeah, okay. Whatever you say.
What he said. I'm with Chris on this one. Okay, that's cool. I'm also being told that Morgan Wallen has now announced this joke, courtesy of the Redheaded Stranger. Morgan Wallen has now announced that he's doing a remake of The Chair by George Strait, so that's nice. Excuse me, well, I think you've got my chair. Yeah,
that's terrible.
That is pretty bad. All right, the president of the United States, or the former president of the United States of America, I should say, Freudian slip there. Donald Trump recently came out on his platform of his choosing. His social media platform is Truth Social. I'm over at Truth Social, by the way. You can find me at Matt Murphy Show, as you can find me at on the X machine, as I call it, formerly known as Twitter. I'm also on Facebook a little bit, Instagram a little bit less than that, but primarily you'll find me on X, and then to a lesser degree, Truth Social. But Donald Trump chooses to post there, and what happens is, and I'm just being realistic, Donald Trump posts on Truth Social. The people that monitor Truth Social then take the post and put it on Twitter, and then everybody sees it. That's how that works. Because not a lot of people are on Truth Social. I wish it weren't so. Well, I don't even wish it weren't so. It is what it is. Once Elon Musk took over X, rebranded it as X, and corrected the errors that the company had created, then it's fine in terms of its belief in freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and absent any direct or indirect threat of physical bodily harm and whatnot, we're going to allow the chips to fall where they may on the platform. One way or the other, Donald Trump had a few things to say about the issue of abortion. And I want to play some of these comments for you. We'll get your thoughts on it at 615-737-9986. It is a very tricky wicket he is attempting to navigate.
Under my leadership, the Republican Party will always support the creation of strong, thriving, and healthy American families. We want to make it easier for mothers and families to have babies, not harder. That includes supporting the availability of fertility treatments like IVF in every state in America. Like the overwhelming majority of Americans, including the vast majority of Republicans, conservatives, Christians, and pro-life Americans, I strongly support the availability of IVF for couples who are trying to have a precious baby.
Okay, so he starts off with the IVF issue, and this is an absolute no-brainer. Most individuals who care to look at the issue that happened in Alabama with any sense of reasonableness or rational thought recognize that a couple of things came together. There was one, an over 100-year-old definition of what a person is, versus some new language regarding laws passed by the state of Alabama after Dobbs v. Jackson gave the states the authority to pass laws restricting a woman's ability to get an abortion after a certain point. So those two things came together and created a dynamic by which IVF was threatened. The state Supreme Court ruled on it. The state legislature dealt with it, and it's over. And so he's dealing with this issue that is a non-issue, but he starts with that, which I think is smart.
What could be more beautiful or better than that? Today, I'm pleased that the Alabama legislature has acted very quickly and passed legislation that preserves the availability of IVF in Alabama.
Say, Donald Trump listens to me because obviously he heard what I just said, and he said it too.
Really did a great and fast job. The Republican Party should always be on the side of the miracle of life and the side of mothers, father, their beautiful babies, and that's what we are. IVF is an important part of that, and our great Republican Party will always be with you in your quest for the ultimate joy in life. Many people have asked me what my position is on abortion and abortion rights, especially since I was proudly the person responsible for the ending of something that all legal scholars, both sides, wanted and, in fact, demanded be ended. Roe v. Wade.
All right, so that's where we are, and we're going to pick it up after we talk with Brian Wilson. We're going to talk with Brian Wilson in just a moment. So I just wanted to kind of lay some groundwork for you and get what are essentially the pleasantries out of the way before we get in the meat potatoes of the issue, and that is where Donald Trump stands on the issue of the possibility of a federal ban on abortion, which kind of goes against a lot of the argument that I've been making and many other small L libertarians or conservatives have been making about where this issue properly and rightly resides, and I believe it resides in the states unless and until we see some addition to the Constitution of the United States, which some want to see. So we'll take that issue back up, chew on that for just a moment. In a second, we'll check in for another time with Brian Wilson, who's on his road home after 4 minutes of joy, elation, and total darkness with the eclipse. We'll check in with him next on The Drive on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
President Biden's classified documents case has updates. A shooting in Las Vegas, a stolen vehicle here in Tennessee that leads to a victim in critical condition. Plus, Morgan Wallen in the news again for the wrong reasons. Those stories and more. 6 o'clock, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Looking forward to that. Indeed. I had a feeling that this might present Brian Wilson the second time around, considering his description of the totality that he experienced for the better part of 4 minutes earlier today. He joins us on our Super Talk 99.7 WTN hotline as he is traveling back home after viewing the eclipse from Indiana, originally slated for Kentucky. From Indiana he went, and he is on his way home. How far have you gotten there, Brian Wilson?
I have no earthly idea where I'm at because of the traffic. Waze has taken me through some back roads. I'm not making this up. A few minutes ago, I literally passed an Amish family in a wagon. I mean, that's the truth, though. I'm not making it up. That's really true. So, no, the traffic was a mess. But in Waze, I trust. I'm going to pull over here because I'm in such back country that I'm afraid if I don't, I'll lose my cell signal. So, yeah, it was an experience, man. I'm telling you, I'm so glad that I made the trip over. And I heard you talking. I was listening to you guys chat about it. The difference between 95% and 100% totality is like the difference between chicken salad and chicken poop. I mean, really. It really. As soon as you get like 1% of the sun back, it feels like almost like daylight. The sun is so powerful. So you really have to have that totality to understand what it's all about. And sadly, in Nashville, y'all only had about 95% today. So it just sort of looked like a cloudy day.
It's true. It's true. Plus, the cloud cover did not help either. Have you any idea, Brian, and you're, I don't know, astronomically inclined, I don't know the word. There's got to be a word for being solar-centric or eclipse-centric in the way that you are, but and I appreciate it. I have a great respect for it. I don't know that I share it, but are you aware how many eclipses are happening between 2024 and the next one on the U.S. mainland? I just looked this up. I was fascinated by it.
I think the next one is in 20 years, 2044, but I don't know about any others.
So, but that's the next one on the U.S. mainland. But between 2024 and 2044, Brian, you have 13 separate opportunities to go.
Well, I better start booking some flights. That's what I guess. I was sitting next to a guy from Portland who was really into this. Portland, Maine, came down. I'm sorry, Portland, Oregon, came down to where I was, and we were sitting there chatting, and he was really into it. And when we got done, he said, "Well, next one's in Spain. See you there." And so I said, "Okay." I didn't even know about that. Apparently, there are people who travel the world, that fly their Learjet to Nova Scotia to see the total eclipse of the sun.
You got to get some business cards, man. If you get some business cards,
you got to be, you where you should be all the time.
Yes, Russia, Greenland, and Europe, and Spain is the area that a lot of people are talking about for this August 2026 event. We, Chris Webber and myself, plan on telling Cabana Wife that you plan on taking her on a beautiful, lavish trip to Spain in a couple of years.
Yeah, she will hold on to that thought. And,
well, listen, man, safe travels. Make sure Waze does not take you back into deep Amish. We need to make sure Brian's not going north.
Wow.
I mean,
hey, he'll get there eventually.
Oh, sure. It's a Dutch
he's got
country
gas
up
money.
there. Hope he does. He's got his compass and a flashlight, and he'll get home. He'll be back by 3 o'clock tomorrow. We'll be back in just a moment after Mac Morey's newscast. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN and The Drive. Back after this.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
6 o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top story. 74 degrees in Nashville. Traffic weather forecast 5 minutes away. The Justice Department says it will not hand over an audio recording of the interview between President Biden with former special counsel Robert Hur from the investigation into his handling of classified documents. House Republicans have been pushing for it. Today, the DOJ said no. Perry Russum.
Even with Republican threats of holding Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt, the DOJ says it has no plans to hand over the audio recording of the interview. A spokesperson for the DOJ says the House committees have already received extraordinary accommodation of the interview transcript, giving them all the information they need. That spokesperson saying handing over audio recordings could make it harder to get interviews in future investigations.
2 victims plus a gunman are dead after a shooting inside of a law office in Las Vegas. Here's Alex Stone.
Police in Las Vegas say the shooting was inside of a law office in a large multi-story building. When officers went in, they found a man and a woman dead, plus a shooter who had killed himself. Sheriff Kevin McMahill says they had to evacuate the entire building.
Pretty full. We're evacuating literally in the hundreds, it looks like.
He says the victims were targeted. They were not killed randomly. Investigators are now working to understand a motive.
Here in Tennessee with a crime story, a man who was free on bond, 26-year-old Thomas Pointer, was taken back into custody after reportedly stealing a Nissan from 33-year-old man at an intersection of East Old Hickory Boulevard and Gallatin Pike. Pointer's accused of shooting and seriously injuring that victim. Officials were able to track the stolen vehicle down by using an Apple AirTag. Officials caught him. They found weapons along with over 200 oxycodone pills. His bond set at $95,000. And some entertainment news. Morgan Wallen in the news again. Arrested after allegedly throwing a chair from the 6th floor of Eric Church's bar. The chair landing just 3 feet from where some police officers were standing. Wallen charged with 3 counts of felony reckless endangerment and misdemeanor disorderly conduct. His bond was set at around $15,000. His next court appearance, May 3rd, when he's set to play at Nissan Stadium. That's the latest news, traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandison. I love My Patriot Supply. It's emergency food so you can care for your family no matter what. And today, we're fixing creamy chicken-flavored rice. And the thing I love about My Patriot Supply, it's easy. You just get the water, turn on the heat, and in minutes, we are ready to go. Now, this food lasts for 25 years in special packaging, and yes, it does taste great. And in just minutes, it's ready to eat. Patriots don't rely on the government to take care of their family in emergencies. It's up to you. Order right now and get $200 off a 3-month food kit. It's important to go to preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. That's preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. Preparewithmandis.com. $200 off a 3-month food kit.
It is The Drive, 6:07. Good evening. Glad you're with us. Super Talk 99.7 WTN on this Monday edition. It's been a lively one. No Brian Wilson today. Matt Murphy in for Brian. Brian back tomorrow. He's on his way back from Indiana. Went Indiana way to catch the total eclipse of the sun. Caught it, 4 minutes of it. Packed his bags and back to lovely, as he would say, bucolic Watertown, Tennessee. We're here till 7 o'clock tonight. We'll hand off to Mark Levin at that time. Hope you're able to join us for every single moment of the last hour, and hope you're able to participate. 615-737-9986. I'm opening up the phone lines on a subject that is tricky in the 6 o'clock hour, but we're going to get to it nonetheless because, well, I made a promise to you that I would. So you can communicate with us via the phone lines or on this Members Nutrition Super Text line, 615-737-9986. Chris Weber, Mac Morey back behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as possible. We appreciate them. Gosh, it is the most difficult of subjects, and I have failed in my duties to address it, but it's really one of the hot topics of the day, and that is Donald Trump's announcement over the weekend where he stands and where he is on the issue of abortion. It should come as no surprise to anyone that this is his take on it. He has intimated as much in many campaign stops on his way to the Republican nomination for President of the United States of America. He's running against a guy that will not accept or admit to any desire for any limitation whatsoever with regard to an individual's right, quote-unquote, woman's right to an abortion up until the moment of birth. And I think Donald Trump, after previewing his position on the issue of IVF, he in his Truth Social post starts at the right place. And it's where all of us should start. All of us who believe that we allow far too many abortions to occur in the United States of America, and far too often these things happen well beyond a moment of closure that should be an acceptable standard. Now, I am not in favor of a national ban because I do not believe the Constitution of the United States of America speaks to this issue. And for way too long, I have argued that this should be a matter to the states. And as we recognize modern advances in medical science, as we recognize a variety of different ways to get abundant information and actual abilities to prevent pregnancy to women, men, or whomever might need it, there should be less and less and less of a need, a desire, or any sort of compelling factor that would lead anyone to an abortion. And I do truly believe that the states, I'm very much where Donald Trump is on this issue. I am personally pro-life. I recognize that there are people of other religious faiths that perhaps do not see the issue the same as me. I recognize that they have the same constitutional rights that I do. But at some point in viewing this from the issue of abortion, I'm just kind of laying the groundwork. From a legal standpoint and a scientific and medical standpoint, we should collectively, as a society, agree on a cutoff with regard to abortion. There is one political party that is truly horrific in their position on this issue. And that's not the Republicans. Now, I understand that there are those that are more hardline on this issue than me. And they believe that life truly begins at the moment of conception. And I recognize and appreciate that belief. I also recognize and appreciate that there are real world and dramatic political consequences for demanding that that's the standard in which we keep nationally. That's the reality. Now, understand the political left wants that, and I've been predicting this for weeks on my radio show from noon until 3. Heard every day on Super Talk 99.7 WTN for those who miss it. The political left wants this fight for a number of reasons. One, they believe that this, along with a couple of other aspects that they're expected to roll out regarding Donald Trump and his fit for duty or fitness for duty, and a few other things, avoiding Joe Biden's disastrous record as president of the United States and other disasters that are going on his watch, that scaring the hell out of uninformed people is truly the only way that they can win the presidency in 2024, especially if Joe Biden is their nominee. The political left wants the right to split on the issue of abortion, and they're going to attempt to exploit what Donald Trump said over the weekend to create a split. And I beg of you to recognize that the world and the United States of America, even specifically on the issue of abortion, is a far, far better place than it ever will be with Joe Biden or any Democrat. Even if Donald Trump stands and says that he's not in favor of a full national ban at any point. For my time on radio and as a small L libertarian, I have argued that these are individual decisions until such time as you have another person involved that cannot make decisions for themselves. And there is the trick in determining when that other person is defined as a person. Spiritually, oftentimes we say it's the moment of conception. From a medical standpoint and from a legal standpoint, that definition may vary a little bit, but I know for those of you who are spiritual and religious and believers, you do not waver. And I know that's why it's so difficult to have a conversation like this. That's why it's so difficult to recognize that there are truly ghouls in our politics that love the idea that you and I might get into a disagreement that creates a permanent schism over whether or not a particular state should argue a 6-week or a 10-week ban. For example, that's an example. But I use that as a way of helping all of us understand how the left is using this in a truly despicable way to try to subdivide conservatives to prevent conservatives from voting a way that will slowly but surely march us down a road where there will not be abortions in the United States of America for a lack of anyone wanting or asking for them, which is ultimately the goal. Above and beyond legality. That's the spiritual goal. Here's Donald Trump speaking directly to this issue.
Remember that the Democrats are the radical ones on this position because they support abortion up to and even beyond the 9th month. The concept of having an abortion in the later months and even execution after birth, and that's exactly what it is. The baby is born, the baby is executed after birth, is unacceptable, and almost everyone agrees with that.
Except for, sadly, and Democrats won't talk about this, but they refuse to provide us any parameters by which I've long said, and I agree with Donald Trump on this, that at our most extreme on these issues, we have individuals that truly believe that there should be no ability to intercede with the possibility of pregnancy if there is sexual relations, because that is somehow interfering with God's plan or God's purpose. That's way out there on the fringes of thought. You know, no contraception, for example. No prophylactic, which was always a difficult word for me to say. On the other hand, you have people that believe in infanticide, and killing a baby that's perfectly viable that has been born. They won't admit it, not to me, But they believe in it.
My view is now that we have abortion where everybody wanted it from a legal standpoint, the states will determine by vote or legislation or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land, in this case, the law of the state. Many states will be different. Many will have a different number of weeks, or some will have more conservative than others, and that's what they will be. At the end of the day, this is all about the will of the people. You must follow your heart or, in many cases, your religion or your faith. Do what's right for your family and do what's right for yourself. Do what's right for your children. Do what's right for our country and vote. So important to vote. At the end of the day, it's all about will of the people. That's where we are right now, and that's what we want, the will of.
So, the will of the people. So, Donald Trump is pivoting from an understanding. I mean, this is Trump at his best, in my opinion. He is focused on attempting to navigate the most tricky issue in modern American politics. Navigating the understanding of faith-based arguments against any and all abortions anywhere in the United States of America versus the political reality that if the Republican Party and conservatives promote a platform of complete and total ban without exception, it is a death sentence for the Republican Party. I cannot tell you that I would want it so, but it is so. I wish there were more 20-somethings or 30-somethings, particularly 20-something and 30-something-year-old females, and that maybe thought a little differently on this issue. I wish that we were laser focusing on so many of the different alternatives that exist outside of eliminating a life and terminating a pregnancy post-conception. But what Trump is doing here is he's pivoting between the spiritual and the faith-based rationale and the political realities. For all of my political life, I was told that we want a repeal of Roe v. Wade. We want to bring this back to the states. We've taken an enormous leap forward in the last 5 years, 6 years. I believe if you take such a hardline approach that you are not at least understanding and aware of arguments out there for exceptions for life and rape and incest and even a 6 or a 10-week ban in some states that cannot stomach a total ban. If you're not willing to accept that as a reality moving forward in 2024, then you're going to lose everything. Because I promise you this, regardless of what the Supreme Court said in Dobbs, you get a Democrat majority in there, you get some of those dadgum squishes over there in the Senate on the Republican side of things and a few of those squishes over there in the House of Representatives on that side of things, and you get a Democrat president, they'll codify Roe. And then we're totally hosed. This is not a lead that is insurmountable by the awful, ghoulish left. We have to be careful that we keep this in our pocket, lest we lose it. Let the president finish this up, and then we'll get some of your thoughts on it.
People. I want to thank the 6 justices, Chief Justice John Roberts, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett, and Neil Gorsuch, incredible people, for having the courage to allow this long-term, hard-fought battle to finally end. This 50-year battle over Roe v. Wade took it out of the federal hands and brought it into the hearts, minds, and vote of the people in each state. It was really something. Now it's up to the states to do the right thing. Like Ronald Reagan, I am strongly in favor of exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. You must follow your heart on this issue, but remember, you must also win elections to restore our culture and, in fact, to save our country, which is currently, and very sadly, a nation in decline. Our nation needs help. It needs unity. It needs us all to work closely together. Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, everyone, we have to work together. We have to bring our nation back from the brink, and that's where it is. It's at the brink, and we will. We will do it. I promise you, we will do it. Always go by your heart, but we must win. We have to win. We are a failing nation, but we can be a failing nation no longer. We will make our nation great. We will make our nation greater than ever before. Thank you very much.
There's the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, speaking on the issue of abortion. What say you? 615-737-9986. We'll take a few of your calls coming up next. It's 623 on Super Talk.
Hey, it's Dan Mandison. I love My Patriot Supply. It's emergency food so you can care for your family no matter what. And today, we're fixing creamy chicken-flavored rice. And the thing I love about My Patriot Supply, it's easy. You just get the water, turn on the heat, and in minutes, we are ready to go. Now, this food lasts for 25 years in special packaging, and yes, it does taste great. And in just minutes, it's ready to eat. Patriots don't rely on the government to take care of their family in emergencies. It's up to you. Order right now and get $200 off a 3-month food kit. It's important to go to preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. That's preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. Preparewithmandis.com. $200 off a 3-month food kit.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Morey. I was just typing back a response. You know, I love responding to folks on the Members Nutrition Super Text line. I'll try to respond to you if possible. 615 737 9986, 615 737 WWT, and either via phone or on Super Text. And obviously on the Members Nutrition Super Text line, things are going gangbusters. I was responding to a comment that someone made. I don't know what this is supposed to mean. I just offered a premise and a treatment on the issue of abortion, and I understand that there's going to be a lot of folks that disagree with me, and many of you are saying life begins at conception, period. Right. I understand that that's your thought on it. I understand that's your conviction on it. I understand that's your faith-based belief on it. And I understand that I agree with you on it. I also understand that there are millions and millions and millions of Americans who vote who don't. And you have to recognize that their vote counts as much as yours does. And we can either eat this elephant in singular bites, or we can try to eat it all in one gulp and choke and die. That is my point. But on the Members Nutrition Super Text line, this is what I saw. Herschel Walker. Now, of course, as Chris Webber knows, my eyebrows go up when I see that. Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker could tell you a little about abortion politics. I don't know if that was designed to be a ding or what. I don't know. But this is the way I responded. Walker was an incredible athlete, my childhood hero, and a damn good dog. He was also a horrible, and I'm going to add a few more because I didn't have time to do it. He was a horrible political candidate. Truly not smart enough to serve in Congress. And I love the man. Anyone with an ability to speak for himself on basic issues with his name ID and the love that Georgia had for him would have won his election easily. But he had just enough baggage and just too little command of the issue or issues that he lost that. So that's what I'll say about that. More coming up in just a moment at 6:30. News time now with Mac Morey on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com. Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you. It's The Drive. No Brian Wilson. He's back tomorrow. Brian traveling back from his viewing of the total eclipse on this April 8th. Hope your Monday went well. Hope it's going well so far in the evening time hours. I'm back at my normal position, noon until 3 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN starting tomorrow, and I hope you're able to check us out. So we covered Donald Trump's video message on the issue of abortion. His basic position is no federal ban. He's not going to at least promote or campaign on a federal ban. That the issue is, as it stands, up to the individual states, and that he does believe in exceptions for rape, incest, life of the mother. He mentioned that Ronald Reagan stood on those principles as well. Some of you are expressing your belief in the Members Nutrition Super Text line that life begins at conception, period. I understand and appreciate that belief. I also appreciate that others feel differently about it. And your belief, the reason, I don't mean to tell anybody how they feel about things, especially with regard to whether or not it's a faith-based or a faithfully held belief. But ask yourself why you are so convicted that that is so. Because when you say life begins at conception, well, I mean, an egg is alive, sperm is alive. Right? Right? But you believe that because you believe. And I'm just here to tell you, you don't need me to tell you the bad news, but I'm just here to tell you that there are many that don't. That believe that life begins when this thing happens or that thing happens. I don't mean to bog down into it, but I just, if we run in 2024 on a life begins at conception, on a life begins at conception platform, Republican Party, I say, when I say we, that's doomed. And I'm not telling you that I want it to be that way. I'm telling you that it is that way. Through almost 25 years experience doing this job. If you don't make an exception for the life of the mother, if you don't make an exception for rape or incest, or in some states they would like to see even more than that, for me, from a constitutional perspective, setting, and this is dangerous to do, setting spiritual and faith-based beliefs aside for a moment, it is what I have been arguing for the last 20-plus years. That this was never an issue to be considered by the federal government. It was always one to be taken up by the individual states. And until such time as the federal government passes some sort of amendatory process, I don't think they should take it up at all. Anthony perhaps has a different perspective on this issue. Anthony, thank you for your call. How are you?
Well, thank you. I just had a curious thought experiment, if you will. So back in the day, the abolitionists were for, the abolition of slavery back in the day. And can you imagine what the world would be like today had it was contentious at the time for an election cycle, and the people that wanted to keep their slaves were like so adamant about not doing this and whatnot, which obviously led to it was part of the Civil War thing. And can you imagine what life would be like if they conceded way or met in the middle on this and threw it back to the states instead of just abolishing it outright? And I was referring to abortion in the same sense. How, even though I get
by the way, that was what the Confederacy was arguing to begin with. But I mean, they were arguing that it should truly be a state matter, and the feds. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to bog down in that. Tell me, complete the analogy. I don't want to bog down in that.
Yeah. No, I was curious at how the world today would be had that continued to go back to the states. I was pondering it. I didn't know. I want to know your thoughts on that. If you had anything to consider there, or just because of the time that we're in, we have a presidential election.
Well, it's tough to compare. I mean, and I understand what you're trying to do, and I appreciate it. It is tough, Anthony, to compare the two because The question in front of us is, when do human beings have rights?
Okay.
Right? And so we don't really question that someone who is alive, breathing air on planet Earth, has rights with regard to the manner in which we read the Constitution, et cetera. I mean, there was a time when slaves did not, and that's what the Civil War was fought over, as to whether or not to extend those human rights to human beings. The question before us now is, when does someone become a human being?
That is disgusting.
I mean,
I get it.
No, it's icky. I mean, I get it. I mean, it's tough. That's why it's such a that's why, look, there are a lot. I'm not knocking them. I'm not saying that they're probably right. There are a lot of talk show hosts that don't talk about abortion at all because they don't believe like it advances the conversation in any positive or constructive way. And frankly, some of them are fearful to share their own beliefs about the best way to tackle this situation from a political and an ideological perspective, because this is where politics and ideology butt up against faith, spirituality, and foundational beliefs. And it can destroy relationships. It can destroy relationships between a host and a listener. It can destroy relationships between a brother and a sister or a mother and a son. That's how volatile this issue is. My ultimate goal is to stop all abortions in the United States of America. And the best, easiest way to do that is to change hearts and to change minds. And that's what it's all about for me. In the meantime, I don't think there's so many of us that are in disagreement with this religious issue. I mean, we can agree to disagree on certain aspects of what we were talking about from a political perspective when it comes to abortion. I was pleasantly surprised when I saw that the Vatican, I don't follow the Vatican that much. I'm not a Catholic, so, whatever. But the Vatican declared today that transgender surgery, surrogacy, and gender theory are threats to human dignity. And Pope Francis announced that they need to be watched, and they argued that the practices are comparable to euthanasia and abortion. That they are, quote, violations of God's plan for human life. The declaration by Pope Francis, 5 years in the making, was signed and approved over the weekend. In the document, the Vatican Doctrine Office formally rejects gender theory and any attempt to change one's gender for the most part. All right, this is just another way that Joe Biden's not a true Catholic, apparently. The document reads, it follows that any sex change intervention as a rule risks threatening the unique dignity the person has received from the moment of conception. While transgender procedures are a grave threat, it says medical intervention is allowed for those with, quote, gender abnormalities present at birth or that develop later in life. Doctors can resolve those abnormalities according to the declaration. The Vatican also addresses surrogacy, saying it violates both the dignity of the surrogate mother and the child. Look, I don't know who wins this war, the war against the woke versus the Pope. I mean, the woke have thus far loved this Pope because this Pope seems to have been woke. He more welcomed and accepted gay unions as a part of day-to-day life within the Catholic Church without out-and-out blessing them necessarily. But now this goes against the growing belief that transgenderism should be accepted in every aspect of daily life and by every religious faith. Maybe the Pope needs to talk to Dawn Staley, the head coach of South Carolina, who for some reason was asked whether or not she believed that men should be allowed to play basketball in the women's tournaments. And she said yes. Which, I don't know why that question is asked during that setting. But if asked, don't answer it. Say, look, I'm going to enjoy this win. I'm going to love on my women on my team, and I'm not worried about that right now. If you want to ask me about that at some future time, I'll answer that question at some future time. But right now, I'm going to love on these people. But here's the way that I would answer it. Of course not. Men involving themselves in women's athletics is only going to accomplish one thing: destroying women's athletics. That's it. That's it. You put a couple of decent male players on any female basketball team and they win the female national championship. That's it. And that's not to say that those women are not incredible athletes that deserve to be watched and praised. They do. 48 minutes after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, wrapping up the drive right after this.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
One of my favorite things about social media, and there aren't many of them, it's a short list, but one of my favorite things about social media is watching as liberals, oftentimes uninformed as they are, take it on the short hairs. In the short hairs? On the short hairs? In?
By the short hairs?
By? Something seems wrong about saying on. One way or the other, this leftist by the name of Ari Drennan, who is a writer for the LGBTQ news, whatever that means, got really mad at Riley Gaines, our own Riley Gaines, for suggesting that the South Carolina basketball coach, Don Staley, is off her rocker for saying that men should be allowed to compete in the women's game. And she said, well, how many college championships has Riley Gaines won? That would be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 more than you, and 2 more than Dawn Staley. Just a thought. Hey, I've enjoyed it on the drive. Brian's back tomorrow. I'm back in my normal spot between noon and 3. Check us out on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Mark Levin coming up. So long, everybody.
Hey, it's Dan Mandison. I love My Patriot Supply. It's emergency food so you can care for your family no matter what. And today, we're fixing creamy chicken-flavored rice. And the thing I love about My Patriot Supply, it's easy. You just get the water, turn on the heat, and in minutes, we are ready to go. Now, this food lasts for 25 years in special packaging, and yes, it does taste great. And in just minutes, it's ready to eat. Patriots don't rely on the government to take care of their family in emergencies. It's up to you. Order right now and get $200 off a 3-month food kit. It's important to go to preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. That's preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. Preparewithmandis.com. $200 off a 3-month food kit.